The Toronto Raptors lose 119-95 in a game that was not particularly close. The Raptors lose every single quarter down the stretch, and yet there are a lot of positives to take away from this game. We'll talk about that. We will talk about the negatives, and there are plenty of those as well. But if you walked into this game expecting to beat the hottest team in the NBA right now, one of the best road teams, if not the best road team in the NBA, you're probably going to need to give your head a little bit of a shake. The Toronto Raptors lost to a team that had won 16 of 17 coming into this game. They lost to the Bucks at one point on a back-to-back, and the last game prior to that the Cavaliers had lost was ironically to the Raptors at the start of the BBQ era. So, look, there's a lot to take away from this game in terms of positives. Let's talk about it. So there's a link in the call-in if you want to call in. Maurizio, what's tonight's excuse? Oh, man. Get these comments out of your way, guys. Get them out of your system. All right. So, look, the Raptors are obviously in the stages of a rebuild. They're a young team. They don't know how to win. And, if you're one of those people that was hoping for a big Scottie Barnes game, you got one. You got one against a really good and very competent defense. Look, I have watched for years, other than Kawhi Leonard, Raptors franchise players kind of shrinking when the defenses get bigger and better. Watching players who I just feel have no chance to level up their performance. They don't have an extra gear. I think Scottie Barnes has an extra gear, and you saw it. You saw it tonight. Okay. In terms of like who played well, I mean, look, for the Cavaliers, it was pretty much like, it's funny. I was on Twitter. If you follow Pensari B-Ball on Twitter, Pensari B-Ball, posted a picture of Michael Jordan versus the Monstars. That's really what it felt like, Scottie, tonight. The Raptors, for their efforts, fall to 11-14 at home. They fall to 19-34 on the season, 15 games below 500. Definitely not the place you want to be, but hey, the ISO threes need to stop. Yeah, we'll talk about that. We will talk about that for sure. In terms of the box score, the Toronto Raptors get a very inspired performance, as I mentioned, from Scottie Barnes. Goes 9 for 15, 1 for 3 from 3. 10 points, 10 rebounds, 24 points. And in a game in which you were blown out, just an FYI, he's the only Raptor that was positive. Literally every other player was in the negative. That is a very weird stat. I don't think I remember the last time that's ever happened. But it's worth noting that you pretty much lost this game entirely in the 13 minutes he did not play. Okay? And it was every stint where he went to the bench, it was a bloodbath for the Raptors, right? They were up and then they were down. So yeah, I think the Raptors had a 16-13 lead. He goes out and then they can't score a bucket for the 3 minutes he's on the bench. We saw a little bit of Scottie in the second unit tonight. It was incredible. I loved it. And that second unit of Scottie in the second unit was Scottie, Kelly Olynyk, who made his Raptor debut tonight, scored 11 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals in 22 minutes. Productive night for him, although he'll be better. He'll definitely be better. A couple turnovers, just a little bit of just getting used to new teammates. But I was very impressed with him tonight. I was very excited when the Raptors traded for him. Tamberlin saying lots of positives to take away. The team hasn't even practiced yet, so give him a few games to gel. And that bench unit with Scottie, Kelly, Gradey, Brown, Agbagi has major potential. Thank you. That's exactly what I was getting to. That lineup makes so much sense basketball-wise. It's ridiculous. They have so many good things going for them. Unfortunately, that lineup pretty much lacks paint defense, and against a team that has so many big paint finishers, like Jared Allen just got behind Kelly Olynyk a few times. Again, what Tamberlin says has a lot of merit here in terms of, one of the things that, not having practices, you might be able to get away with it offensively a little bit. Guys know how to play. Most NBA offenses are pretty similar, but in terms of defensive communication, it's going to take a while. And unfortunately, you make a deal. You've made 3 different deals. at 3 different times. And every time you make a deal, you have to adjust a whole new bunch of guys, rotation players, right? So I think like overall, I think you got some very, very impressive looks at that second unit. That Scottie in the second unit thing worked really well. Gradey Dick had himself a game. He was really, really, really good tonight. Okay. He got fouled on that three. Brilliant. Made all 3 of his free throws. He was 4 for 8, 3 for 6 from 3. He had that beautiful Jordan-esque reverse layup. Loved it. Showing a little bit of pop. It was great. Another guy who had a really interesting finish tonight was Ochai Agbagi. So if you're a Kansas Jayhawks fan, you got 22 points from 2 of the better Kansas Jayhawks in the last 5 years. It was great. Ochai was like, struggling from 3. He's a better shooter than this. 0 for 5 from 3 tonight. I like the shots that he took for the most part. I think he maybe took one that I was like, yeah, it's a little bit too quick. But overall, I think he was good. Defensively, he drew the assignment of Donovan Mitchell, and I think he did about as decent a job as you're going to do on a superstar. Again, he flashed potential, good potential. And, watching him, in a Raptors uniform, yeah, it was good. It was really good. It kind of makes you feel like, hey, like I feel comfortable that you gave up a 20th overall pick in a kind of shaky draft in order to take a swing at him. Bruce Brown, tough night. Negative 21 in 20 minutes, 1 for 5, 0 for 2 from 3. You really do struggle with him. You really do wonder, like, could the Raptors have really, not gotten something better for him? Again, he's a player who really, really will do better with that second unit in terms of like Kelly Olynyk being sort of a high quality passer. You saw Kelly Olynyk kind of bringing the ball up the court. When's the last time you saw a center bringing the ball up the court for the Raptors? It's been a while, right? So Kelly has those guard skills. He can handle the ball a little bit. He's a competent, passer and rebounder. I think there was like some really decent stretches of defense as well from him. Gary Trent, struggled a bit. 6 points. Jakob Poeltl had a very, very unlike last night. Maybe second night of back-to-back, maybe some tired legs. He just really was outclassed, outmatched by Jared Allen. I think the gap between those two players just really, really showed up tonight, unfortunately. And hey, like, let's be real. Like, Jared Allen is not creating his own offense. He's not parking himself down on the block like Shaq and, creating all sorts of advantages. He's just reading and reacting to the gravity of Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, 2 of the better guards in the Eastern Conference. And frankly, both are all-star level type guards in terms of talent and production, even though they're not going to both be all-stars because Darius Garland's missed a lot of time. DG is a very, very talented player, and you saw it tonight in terms of the playmaking gap between him and Emmanuel Quickley is enormous, right? I think I mentioned yesterday or the day before, one of our lives was talking about like what is the gap between Emmanuel Quickley and Darius Garland. It's pretty big. And you saw it tonight. You got to look at a competent, very elite playmaker in Darius Garland, and you saw it, right? RJ Barrett, damn tough night. Forced everything. I like his compete level on defense, was good, but forcing a ton of shots, a lot of tunnel vision, a lot of, making up his mind, taking awkward finishes, really off balance, not really having a second hand to go to, the right hand, just everything's left. Scouting report is sort of out on him. If you really game plan to stop RJ Barrett, you can stop him. I like that he was assertive and aggressive, but there is a gap between being assertive and aggressive and being a ball hog. And tonight, he and Emmanuel Quickley hogged the shit out of the basketball. Like really just taking a lot of out of rhythm shots that really disrupted the offense. And I think it really impacted the lineups that they played with. Certainly, you can make a case that it's a work in progress. They're 23 and 24 years old. This is not writing the book on them. But if you're asking me very, very honestly and very bluntly, who is Scottie's best teammate long-term, it's probably Gradey Dick. And, maybe it's Emmanuel Quickley and Gradey Dick, or maybe it's like it's a 1A, 1B situation between those two guys. I think I may have just broken my phone. Hang on one second. Hallelujah. Hallelujah for the person who invented. Let me tell you something funny. For the first 10 years of my life, I swore no cases because I thought they were bulky and weird. And for the last 4 years, I've always had cases. And I tell you, phones have been much, much healthier. So get yourself a case if you're one of those idiots like me who doesn't get a case. Yeah, Scottie Barnes, like really just energetic performance tonight. Really energetic, just like bouncy, like you could just tell he had some like verve to his step tonight, defensively, offensively. He was just super engaged, and regardless of whether, you win this game, lose this game, whatever, you're just not talented enough to beat a team like this when they're going right. Um, I think you could say this is a very positive thing that he hasn't had a lot of games like this in the last month and a half, right? And if you're looking for evidence that you've made the right decision to, tear this whole thing down and build it around him, I think tonight gave you a glimpse into what the future could look like with him, right? Obviously, you're going to need a little bit more defense around him. Obviously. Obviously, you're going to need better playmaking talent around him. You're going to need better shooters and better finishers. But that's why young players are brought in to develop, right? They have to develop and you have to upgrade. There's a lot of places on this team where maybe you're still playing guys who are a little bit raw in the rotation sense, right? Like you could make a case that on a really good team, I'm positive actually on a really good team right now that RJ Barrett is not like taking 14 shots. It's just, very, unless the team is like a defensively oriented team like the Knicks, you could probably make a case that on a really good team, Emmanuel Quickley's coming off the bench. You can make a case that on a really good team, Ochai Agbagi probably isn't playing. So, it's everyone has to level up. That doesn't mean that those guys can't hold those positions at some point. They can, and I'm certain that they will, because they're all hard workers and they're all guys who want to get better. And so if they're committed to it, they can get better, right? But yes, this was a thorough just outplaying, and I am getting concerned that Chris Boucher does not get off the bench at all. He looks absolutely miserable. What to do about Chris Boucher right now? Like, are we saying he can't even grab Bruce Brown's minutes at this point? Could he be worse than Bruce Brown right now? I'm not really sure. Like he's an energy big. Maybe if things are not going right with Bruce Brown, you got to preserve the trade asset, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, trade asset's been kind of ass for like, 10 of the 12 games he's played. Like, I mean, he's not been good for you at all. And I mean, like, even in the games like that he's been good, he's been like, okay, he was good once. Okay. Like there was like two good games. I think his first game was good. And then 2 games ago, he was good. But like last game wasn't great. It was okay. This game was bad. So I mean, like, change it up, maybe. Yeah, what else to discuss? Okay, so for the Cavaliers, I mean, just shooters upon shooters. Isaac Okoro gets off, gets going, starts talking a lot of smack. That dude has like the most punchable face in the history of the NBA. I don't know. It's just something about him. He looks like a 12-year-old with a goatee. I don't know. Jared Allen just beasted, right, all night. 9 for 12 from the field, 15 rebounds, 15 freaking rebounds, 6 of which were offensive rebounds, just cremated the Raptors inside. Evan Mobley, 17 points, 11 rebounds, 0 blocks. Between the two of them, they had 1 block. The Raptors just put it into their body. Donovan Mitchell, guy who's been, one of the better scorers in the NBA, averaging 25, 28, 29 points per game. And you hold him to 15. So, credit to RJ Barrett, credit to Scottie Barnes, credit to Ochai Agbagi. Was not one guy who did it, but really, it was a very balanced effort from them. Off the bench, they got 13 points from Karis LeVert, 12 points from Isaac Okoro, 13 points from George Niang, right? They got some competent defense, although no shots made, no points made from Dean Wade. Sam Merrill came off to scare the bejesus out of me for 10 minutes. Like just seeing that guy on a friggin' court just freaks me out. I'm just like, oh my God, he's about to go off for 28 points in like 12 minutes, that guy's tough. It's just a shooter, like a pure shooter. I think there was a stat like he takes 87 or 88% of his shots from behind the arc. Just tough. Evan Mobley, okay. Max Strus had a competent game. He has not been great lately, but he was the big offseason signing for the Cavaliers. I think he played reasonably well. In terms of team stats, the Raptors lose a possession battle. This was not the case in the Nick Nurse era. Let's bring back Nick Nurse. Let's not. Don't worry about it. You just get outshot. You get outclassed, you get outshot, right? They shoot better from the field than you. They shoot better from three than you. It was a shot making thing, right? The Raptors took 31 threes. They shoot 29% from three. They hold the Cavaliers to 34%. I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. That's below league average for a team that is significantly above league average shooting threes. Both teams shoot 69% from the free throw line. The Raptors get out rebounded. The Raptors get out assisted. I think Darko is probably going to address that in the post game. Like, really, assists have been the calling card of the Raptors. When things are going right for the Raptors, there's a lot more assists, a lot more movement. I think the Cavaliers sort of shut down some of the movement the Raptors made. There's a couple times where either IQ or Scottie get into the paint and they're expecting an outlet or they're expecting a cutter, and nobody cuts and nobody's an outlet. Everyone's guarded, and it results in a turnover. Yeah. In terms of points in the paint, not quite 38 from last night. 60 points in the paint for the Cavaliers tonight. It's not as bad as it could have been, but certainly not great. In terms of the Raptors' lead, they did lead by 3 before Scottie went to the bench in the first quarter. So 16-13 was the largest lead, and then the Cavaliers' biggest lead was 25. It was a bloodbath from that point on. Basically, if you want to look at the game cast, it was pretty much that. So they held it close till right there. Scottie went to the bench. Scottie came back. He tried to carry, and then boom. Then the lead just started to get away. I think he went to the bench again right there, and the Raptors went on that huge drought where they just, I think they scored like 2-3 points. They had 5 points in 6 minutes in the second quarter. So for the first 5 minutes, I think they had 6 points. And they weren't getting stops. So that's really tough. You end up in a, Tony is saying, I was expecting a loss, but a 7 to 10 point loss. Yeah. You know what? It would have been great. It would have been great to get a competitive loss. I was not expecting a win tonight under any circumstances, but I was expecting a win at all. I think I ended my last night's live by saying the Raptors are going to get smacked by the Cavs. They're a really good team. And I think people need to give them credit. They're number 2 in the East right now. Let's take a quick look at the standings. After this game, the Cavaliers have moved up in the standings. They have moved to 35-16, a few games ahead of Milwaukee. The New York Knicks lost tonight against the Indiana Pacers. So this is like a triple whammy for the Raptors, because the pick that is owed to you for 2024 by the Indiana Pacers, it gets slightly worse because the Pacers beat the Knicks tonight. Your own odds of catching the Atlanta Hawks get a little bit worse, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Atlanta Hawks won tonight. Did they? Yeah, the Atlanta Hawks are facing the Rockets, so the Hawks win tonight. Yes, the Hawks did win tonight. A lot of games tonight in the NBA. The Philadelphia 76ers, the new home of the Raptors' greatest player of all time, Kyle Lowry. They won. They beat the Washington Wizards. Wasn't looking super great early, but yeah. The Orlando Magic, a team that you probably need to catch, or maybe you won't catch them, but you needed to catch somebody in that group. So the Chicago Bulls lose one. The Memphis Grizzlies managed to lose as well. So unfortunately, it doesn't really help your odds of being able to tank, because the Memphis Grizzlies are the team you need to catch for that 6th spot. So yeah, I mean, hey, it's just that simple, right? Charlotte Hornets decided. You beat the Hornets, the Grizzlies lose to the Hornets, and therein lies the tankathon. So it's pretty clear at this point the Raptors are not going to tank, right? This team, as constructed, despite what it looked like tonight, they're way too good to be like winning 2-3 more games the rest of the season, unless you're planning on shutting it down. Clear, this team has just decided that we are just not going to try to game the system. We're going to try to convey this pick. We're going to try to get as close to the play-in as possible. And you know what? Maybe that's a message this team needs to hear. You want guys to be competing for something. Unfortunately, at some point, the math is just going to catch up to you, because when you start hitting that 42, 43, 44 loss territory, you're going to literally be looking at a season in which you're going to have to win 12 straight to just be competitive. And it's tough, right? It's tough. The Raptors dug themselves a lot of holes early in the season, lost a lot of winnable games, that this team has lost. A lot of games down close at the buzzer, costly mistakes, not boxing out, whatever. Wasn't a perfect game for Scottie, I will say this, but there was one time where I'm sure a lot of people are going to complain about this, where he looked at Evan Mobley and, he looked him off at the three. He saw him open at the three, and he did this, he just kind of waved him off, and Evan Mobley sinks the three. Ironically, every other time Evan Mobley took a three, Scottie contested it like hard. Like one time he nearly blocked it. It was an air ball. So he learned his lesson quickly. But this is one thing that, I would like to see more from Scottie. And we can certainly talk about it if it comes up naturally in the calls. But I would really like to see Scottie be more studious about the scouting report, because I knew that Evan Mobley was hitting his threes over the last few games. And I'm surprised that Scottie Barnes didn't. So that's not good. Yeah. Okay, let's bring on some callers. Okay, so we got RJ McLeod, Lil John, and Coach Mo. So let's start with Lil John, and then we'll move to RJ McLeod, and then we'll go to Coach Mo. Lil John, what's up? Hello? Lil John? Okay, we'll come back to you. RJ McLeod, what's up?
Nope.
What's going on?
I think the Raptors are at a crossroads right now, because for me,
you're too young for me to bring up a Bone Thugs and Harmony reference.
I listen to Bone Thugs. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh, you know Crossroads?
Of course. Well,
Sweet.
It's not my favorite Bone Thugs song, but yeah, I do like it. Nice tribute to Easy.
Okay. My bad. You said you were 18, 19 years old. I was like, this guy does not know Bone Thugs and Harmony, but that's cool, man.
No,
that's
I'll
great.
listen to his 90s, Eric B. and Rakim, Nas. That's like my type of music.
Dope.
But,
awesome.
Yeah.
No wonder we get along so well. Okay, what's up?
Hell yeah. For me, I think the Raptors are at a crossroads, because I think the optimized version of Scottie is what you saw tonight, running the point forward, getting wherever he wants, and on defense, playing the nail and the help. Problem is, the way the roster is constructed, you don't have anyone else to play the point of attack. And you saw that tonight. You saw Donovan Mitchell with 15, but a lot of that had to do with Jakob's drop. And like the point of attack defenders said they were horrible. Like RJ was horrible, in my opinion. He
tried. He tried.
Not well enough.
There was a lot of effort. Like, I mean, he was huffing and puffing. He does this cool little thing before the game where he whips himself in the leg.
Yeah.
Like it's a horse or something, like trying to get his legs juiced up or something.
I understand that. I think he was.
I don't know. I mean, like he's trying. Like it's not like RJ's bailing on defense. You know what I mean? Like he's trying.
Yeah.
He's limited, like in terms of what he can do. At some point, like look, the Raptors. Here's the thing. It's so weird, right? Because you're saying they're at a crossroads. If the Raptors really wanted to stop this team, they could have done a much better job. Schematically, they could have done a much better job. I feel like right now they're so invested in developing for next year. Like people thought that was just a soundbite, that they were just, creatively trying to say like, oh, it's about tanking, but we're not going to call it tanking. We're going to call it development. But no, it is actually development, because they need RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley to become better point of attack defenders. Frankly, they need Scottie Barnes to become a better point of attack defender. And they're putting them in cases where they're going to have to defend Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland without help.
Right. But here's the thing. Oh, go ahead. Like in contrast, like Portland's doing the same thing with Tumani Kamara, the rookie. They did that with him.
Awesome.
And he shows improvement. Yeah, and we've been doing that with RJ for a while, and I'm not one to off a few games, but I just don't think he has it in him, because he commits too much to one side, gives up a lane on the other. I think Ochai is our answer for that. I liked his effort on defense tonight. I think Ochai should be what we develop as a point of attack defender. And then I think Scottie can play a more optimized role.
Do you see him as a Tony Allen type?
I don't watch enough Tony Allen, but I just know his reputation.
See, there you go. See, you got the Bone Thugs and Harmony reference, but you didn't get the Tony Allen reference. There you go, young one. All right, I'm just kidding. Yeah, like Tony Allen was kind of like a 6'4", 6'5", like
Pest.
tenacious defender, pest defender, right? So, like, I
Yeah,
mean, I think physically he was built like a brick shit house, and I think there's a little bit of that in him. Um, I really like Ochai. Despite the
same.
fact that he missed all 5 of his threes tonight, I like him. Like I like him as a like you get a feeling with certain guys. Just having heard a lot of his interviews over the years, it was just always like this is a player that I want to succeed. For
Right.
whatever reason, it just seems like a really man, I'm like channeling my mother here by saying he's like a very well brought up man. Like he's like he seems like a really good teammate. Seems like he really wants to get better. Seems like he's going to fit in beautifully with the culture. I feel like the Raptors brought two very happy people into their organization, which is a very good thing. Like they
Right.
just never
Yeah.
stop smiling, and that's a great thing. And I say this as someone who probably hasn't smiled in 25 years. So, like, I'm just saying, like, it's a great thing to be around people who are like just joyous about basketball. And that way you don't have to do the whole thing that you did with Malachi Flynn, where you
Oh,
have
yeah,
to make
man.
him smile. He just smiles naturally. See?
Yeah, you see that reflecting. I think we played with a lot more energy tonight, a lot less stagnation. But
Yep.
speaking of Ochai, I'm assuming you watched tapes on him. Can he cut like off ball?
Yes.
Okay,
Very well,
because
actually.
Bruce Brown isn't doing it. And when Scottie first started winning point guard, Jalen McDaniels for the first 2 games, he was a really good cutter. And when you surround Scottie with a cutter, it's dangerous for the other team. And I think if I just want to play Ochai more as a defense and cutter, and he can shoot.
Well, that's the thing. Like, going into training camp next year, provided you'll have 4, 5, possibly 6, possibly 7 new faces, the turnover will
Hmm.
exist again, but you'll have like a real chance to try to win like next year. I
Right.
really do believe this year is about next year. At this point, that's kind of where I'm at right now, where everything you're seeing this year is about intel for what you need to do better next year. And it kind of sucks for fans, right? Obviously, there's some fans who are very frustrated by it. They're like, but why not this year? And it's just like, yeah, there is a way to eke out these wins and maybe even make a game like tonight a lot more competitive if you really, really wanted to compromise, if you wanted to play I don't know who you would play at this point. Your veterans like maybe don't help
Garrett
you at
Temple.
this point. Garrett Temple. Yeah, I mean, just schematically, if you wanted to play Scotty more minutes tonight, maybe you could have done something with that. You might have been able to keep Dennis Schroeder if you could get him to buy in. Certainly, Dennis Schroeder off the bench was giving you a little bit more than Bruce Brown is right now. Let's be real about that. Um,
Brown can't create anything, man. No space, no nothing, no
Yeah,
defense.
it's just like you're playing without a point guard right now, and Scotty is definitely, definitely, definitely the closest thing you have to it. And I love that he got more reps tonight. Yeah, you can call him
Right.
a point forward, but tonight, like my girlfriend, she was watching with me. She's just like what's he doing? It's funny. She watches basketball sometimes, but sometimes she just catches it on an intricacy, and she's like noticing. She's like, why is he telling everyone where to go? I'm like, he's the point guard, and then she looks at me.
Right.
She's like, he's point guard finally. Because I've been talking about this for like literally years about how he's a point guard and how he needs to be given that opportunity. And yeah, this is the opportunity that's been given. And I hope that he can do something, better with it. I think he did a really good job tonight, overall.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it is a bit of a crossroads for sure.
Because the correlation is like when you look at the data, it's like well, our record's bad when he does really good, but it's not his fault because if you need him to play defense and set screens for everyone else to get involved, that's not on him. That's really not on him at all, and it's annoying.
He tends to show up in games where his team really, really needs him.
Bro, he
You
hunted
know,
Evan Mobley tonight.
he
He
did.
was on his ass, and I like it. I like that he shut down the conversations because Mobley's been really good since he came back from injury, and now
Yep.
there's certain people doubting that he could be the best out of the 21 draft class, but I don't think so. I think it's between Scotty, small gap, Şengün, and then Mobley.
Yeah. Shingun missed the game tonight with I think some sort of back soreness or something like that. So he was not playing tonight. He was not active. I agree. Long term, Evan Mobley is like a role playing defender. If he becomes anything more than that, I don't know if he'll become like significantly more than that. That's very valuable.
Yeah.
It's very valuable, and he still has a ways to go physically. He's going to fill out. There's no shade towards Evan Mobley. I love Evan Mobley. Love him. In fact, when I did the Raptors draft board, I had him above Scottie Barnes in terms of what I thought the Raptors would do. And I'm not sure. I can't say this conclusively. Maybe the Raptors had him over Scottie.
Like if we
So
had a third pick, we would have took him. You think? There's a
I think
chance.
I think there's a pretty good chance they would have taken him. All I knew was that the Raptors definitely had Scottie over Jalen and Jalen. That's what I thought. So I
Jalen
thought,
and Jalen.
yeah. So Jalen Green and Jalen Suggs. So I felt
Oh,
here's how I felt the Raptors draft board looked on draft night: Cade, Evan, Scottie. I thought that was the order of the Raptors
mm,
board. My personal board would have been Scottie, Evan, neck and neck. Like either or, I'm fine. Cade
right.
after that, Jalen Suggs after that, Jalen Green after that, Franz after that. So yeah, I mean it's interesting. But yeah, Evan Mobley's great. He's a really good player. I hope one day he'll become a Raptor and he'll pair up with Scottie Barnes.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Tamberlin saying, I don't think so because Scottie is such a Messiah type. I think it just matters on like where we were at the time, what the roster looked like. You desperately needed a center. You were coming off a year where Aaron Baines was there. Evan
Ken
Mobley
Burks wasn't
projected
cutting it for
more.
you, man.
Cambridge sucked. I think like Evan Mobley probably projected very high. There were all sorts of rumors that the Raptors were trying to trade up desperately to get Evan Mobley. So take those with a grain of salt. Obviously, now what's done is done. Scottie Barnes is a Raptor, and I'm very, very happy about that. Obviously, I would have preferred him over Evan Mobley, Kate Cunningham, and everyone in that draft. I was a very big Scottie fan, but say lovey. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think with Scottie, like it was just kind of like sometimes you get a feeling that he's got his own little agenda, you know, in terms of his
At times.
season, and he's just like he's obviously cognizant of the fact that his knees are dead right now, that he's probably going through some sort of tendonitis. I'm pretty sure he's going through tendonitis. Last year I think he went through almost a month of tendonitis and we didn't hear about it, and then suddenly it went away and he looked a lot better. So I'm pretty sure he's going through something like that again. It's, for those people who don't know, tendonitis is an overload thing, and he generally tends to get better with rest and recovery. And he just hasn't had rest or recovery. He's he's flight after flight after flight every single night. So it's just not going to get better until the off season, unfortunately, unless he, sits for like 10 games or 5 games. And then I'm sure you'll see this pop once again. But again, like, when people say like he doesn't have a handle, he doesn't have this, and he doesn't have that, like I saw him go up against like double teams tonight
Yeah,
comfortably,
no fear.
no fear.
He was getting
And just
wherever he wanted.
exactly. And that's exactly it, right? Like he can do this stuff. It's just like the last few games, he's been a step slow, you know, like everything's been slow, very, very slow.
Yeah.
And I think you got a good look in terms of who Scottie Barnes will be as a 40-year-old over the last month. If he doesn't figure out his jump shot, because he was moving around like molasses. But tonight there was like a lot of juice and pop in his step, and you got to see like what that bursty athletic, profile, 40-inch vert, all that stuff that we looked at in the draft. But again, it's going to come down to rest and recovery, right? He
Today we
needs,
run a back to back, and this is the thing. Like he was so energized today, and I tweeted out. I think it's because he's not being asked to guard dynamic guards today. He wasn't. He was just in the nail,
yeah,
and
that might be
it's
it. Yeah. I mean,
because
RJ took like a lot of responsibility. I really don't think he was as bad defensively as he was offensively. I think RJ Barrett offensively killed you tonight. Defensively, I think he tried his best, But yeah, like I mean, in terms of developing Ochai Agbagi, I don't I'm not sure how you can start him though. So if you want to
you
develop a
can start
guy
him
as like,
with bench reps, like same like we're doing with Gradey right now.
would you consider starting Ochai over Gary right now?
Yeah, yeah, I would.
Just to get the point of attack defense off of Scotty's plate and just tell Ochai, listen, literally you're PJ Tucker now. You just guard your ass
Sit in the
off,
corner.
run the court, cut, and hit open threes from the corner. That's literally your whole job. Simplify it for him. That way you're not running Gradey and Ochai together, two young guys off the bench. And then maybe you can get some steadying presence from Gary off the bench. I mean, clearly, rumor has it they tried to shop him at the deadline. They got offers back of 2 second-round picks. Not
For
great.
Gary?
Yeah.
Would you not have took that? I don't think you're getting a first for Gary, unless it's some really, really desperate team.
I like Gary. I do.
I do too.
I just think, like, in terms of what he can't do, it's pretty glaring. And in terms of what I wish he could do, which is be a spark plug off the bench, he hasn't been able to do it. So it's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation where, like, you wish he could do as a bench player what he does as a starter, but you also can't regularly start him without, like, having him be the fifth best player. And decidedly so. Like, he could be your starter if your other 4 starters are like Jokic, Murray, KCP and Aaron Gordon. Like, he could be your fifth starter then. He can be your fifth starter if your other 4 starters are Scottie, Fred, Pascal, and OG. But if you have Gary, RJ, and Emmanuel Quickley starting in the same lineup, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, I think we've been compromised
because they all struggle finishing in the paint. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bro, Gary can't dribble, bro. I'm sorry, bro. Like, he can dribble, but he can't create off the dribble at all.
That's exactly it. Yeah,
it's so bad. And he's doing post fadeaways. It's like, bro, stop it. You're just a shooter. And his defense today was atrocious, unfortunately. He has the Jalen McDaniel syndrome where, like, they both try to dribble and play make, but you're just a shooter.
Yeah.
Just stick to your role.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, man?
Yeah, well, just a quick question, because I'm not as well informed on analytics. Why are Fred VanVleet and Jakob Poeltl players like that considered analytical darlings? Even if, like, what's special? Like, what is it about their play style?
Sure, that's a great question. They don't take dumb shots, and they guard well. So basically, if you want to be an analytics darling, let me draw you a perfect analytics darling. A player who takes and makes a sufficient number of threes, does not take a lot of mid-range shots, finishes reasonably well in the paint, in the case of Jakob Poeltl, if you're looking at that, and does a significantly above average job guarding their position for their role. So that's pretty much every analytics darling. Now you can round it out by saying load and creation. So like a guy like Fred VanVleet, better passer than the average Bear, right? He doesn't turn the ball over a lot. So even though he's like not the most efficient finisher in the paint and all that stuff, he makes up for it with volume from 3. He's basically reverse engineered his greatness because he's not an analytics darling. Like Jalen Brunson is leaps and bounds ahead of him. Tyrese Halliburton leaps and bounds ahead of him. Donovan Mitchell leaps and bounds ahead of him. He's just way better according to the analytics than he is according to the box score, because the box score does not capture all the stupid things he doesn't do.
Because he's 22 in VORP.
Yeah, I can see that.
It was like, I was very perplexed.
Yeah, but VORP also has a lot to do with minutes played, right? There are a lot of guys who are better than him, maybe that have missed like 12, 15 games. He's been relatively healthy this year. Maybe there are guys that are better than him that don't play as many minutes as him, etc. It also has a lot to do with role. So like his role in creation in terms of like how much better he makes a guy like Alperen Şengün in that pick and roll, just like how much better he made Jakob Poeltl. I mean, with Fred last year, Jakob Poeltl was low-key flashing like Tim Duncan late-stage potential last year.
Remember that game against the Magic? He was like 15 for 17.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the point. Anyways, yeah, take care,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Have a good one.
Peace.
Yeah. Coach Mo, what up?
Hey, Rob. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
What I loved about this game was they finally told IQ and RJ, guard your positions. Like, it's a second night of a back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I think Barnes had his best offensive game in a while was even on a second night of a back-to-back, he was guarding Mobley. He was closer to the rim. Right. He didn't have to – it's like, if this is development, and you mentioned it earlier, why is Scottie Barnes only getting point of attack reps? It's like, you guys guard your positions too. If you're on the core, if you're going to be the core and you're going to be playing 30-plus minutes, you have to guard your position. We can't hide 2-3 people. Scottie Barnes can't guard 3 people on the perimeter and then protect the rim. You have to be able to adequately guard your position. So I liked seeing them guard their positions, or at least attempt to.
Yeah.
So that was
unfortunately there was just a lot of team breakdowns, right?
Yeah,
Like you can guard Darius Garland up, you can hide you know, you can get the ball out of his hands, but if Evan Mobley's man loses him underneath the paint, like they were just bigger than us tonight. I feel like, whether you had Kelly Olynyk in there or whatever, like I feel like it was good to see. If I'm not mistaken, Kelly Olynyk and Jakob Poeltl played some minutes together, right? So they're not using Kelly exclusively as a 5, which is good. I would like to see Kelly Olynyk start. That's just me. I would like to see him start over Gary Trent Jr.
I'm done with Gary starting. I am also done with Gary starting. I'm okay if it's Olynyk. I'm okay if it's Agbagi. I'm okay if it's Gradey Dick. I think Gradey Dick at this point provides more on a consistent basis.
I think like maybe, Grady started one game. He will get hunted massively defensively, although he's been much more competitive and better defensively. I think
if Trent got hunted, he'd be in trouble too. It's just the white rookie to me. And he does the calls that go against him sometimes. It's like, yeah, that was a rookie call. Like
the whistle was pretty shit tonight. I gotta be honest. Like there was a lot of times where Kelly Olynyk and Scottie Barnes got hacked tonight, and the refs just swallowed their fucking whistle. And it's just like, does this team need more advantages than you're already giving them? In fairness, they swallowed it the other way too. But I mean, I feel like the Raptors were very assertive getting to the paint, and whether it was RJ, Kelly, Scottie, IQ one time, all of them got hacked, chippy. And it's like, if you're not calling these fouls, bro, like, I mean, it's tough. Scottie got the whistle tonight, which was good to see. One time, I think he probably didn't deserve to get the call, and he got it anyway. So it's good to see. Every star player, every all-star gets a couple of those calls that they're probably not supposed to get, those 50-50, maybe leaning towards not a foul, but they just get it because they're a star. It's good to see Scottie starting to get to the line a lot more, man.
So the stint of, especially in that first quarter where Scottie went to the bench, what was noticeable, and you could foresee it happening, but when you face a team like Cleveland, who's been the best defensive team for over a month now since they've been on their run, they have good paint protection. They're solid. And their rotations are basically flawless for the most part, right? Obviously there are breakdowns, but it's like breakdowns not consistent.
Yeah.
Gary, IQ, and RJ being asked to be primary decision makers against a good defense, yeah, it's a train wreck. It's a train wreck.
It was bad.
For everybody saying Star J, I need you to understand, when you ask RJ Barrett to attack a set defense and a good defense, it gets ugly, and it gets ugly very, very fast. What RJ has been doing since he got here, for the most part, he's not making decisions. Decisions are made for him. They pass it to him. He attacks a shifting defense, and he's very good because he's a skilled scorer. But when the defense is set and eyes are on him, he's doing absolutely nothing. He's going nowhere, and he's very predictable, and he's easy to stop, and his playmaking is below average. IQ, let me get to IQ. For us to be able to beat above average teams, IQ has to be a lot better than he is right now. We'll have no shot at beating good teams with IQ playing like this. And you mentioned it. The gap between IQ and Garland it's seismic. The things Garland can do in his sleep, IQ struggles at. Getting to the paint consistently, manipulating the defense with your dribble, with change of pace, right? Just even like little things where you like look this way to freeze the defense. Man, IQ, he overdribbles. The thing that I don't like about IQ is he has some Dennis Schroeder in him where he just overdribbles. Like, you have nothing, move the ball. He holds it for like 2 or 3 more seconds. Or he picks up
here's the thing. Like, he's young and he's adaptable. He's not like a stubborn old horse, where he's not gonna force it. So like, I'm sure like, Darko is probably like, again, Darko is one of the biggest proponents of moved basketball, right? The difference between IQ and Dennis is the strength of personality argument in terms of how committed are they to the way that they play basketball. I think the other thing that is worth noting is his shooting makes him probably just like so much better. Not probably, makes him definitely so much better than Dennis Schroeder. So even with like some of the shooting, like some of the over dribbling, he's still got someone on him. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
It's just the problem is, and this is a learning curve for him as well. He's not nearly seeing the angles. There's passes he misses every single game.
yep.
RJ misses passes as well. There was a play where RJ got to the line, right, on an and one, right? And I was screaming because he missed Ochai Agbagi diving underneath the basket for an open layup. Now, granted, he gets the and one. There's a time when IQ comes down and he hits it's in transition. You're down 20, and he just takes a three, and I'm like, no, and he made it. And then the next time he comes down and he didn't make it. It's like when your defense, like first of all, when you're trying to come back into the game, you need to be patient. When you're a point guard, if you're a point guard, he's not a point guard. You need to have like internal kind of rhythm of the game. You need to understand like, what do we need here? We need something sure here. We need something quick here. We need something really slow here. We need something we need to feed it into Scottie. And I find that Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett can sometimes get into a two-man action between themselves, and they can sort of freeze out the empty side of the court. And sometimes they're actually on the weak side doing 2-on-3, 3-on, 3-on-5.
The ball never makes it to the other side.
And the ball doesn't come across the court to an open shooter in the corner. And what I'm really liking with Scottie over the last few games is his ability to sort of like go cross court, right? I think Jack brought it up tonight, or Alvin, or whoever the hell was doing the broadcast tonight. I've kind of tuned it out, but yeah.
It's rough when your lead guard, the gap between Scottie and your lead guard, the guy who's going to handle the ball the most, their playmaking, the gap can't be that big in playmaking.
I mean,
Scottie can't be on the court 24/7, right?
To be completely fair, though, like I think this is by design. I don't think you traded for Emmanuel Quickley for him to, be your lead guard. I think Scottie's going to be your lead guard. I think what's important here is that right now, Emmanuel Quickley needs to learn how to run an offense.
There you go. Yes, I agree.
Okay, but he's 24 and he hasn't had a ton of opportunities to do that.
I'm not saying he has to do that now, but watching this game, it made me think of like those Cleveland teams where in like against good teams in high leverage situations, LeBron goes to the bench and everything falls apart because Kyrie really can run an offense. He can score, but he can't run an offense. You know what I mean? And it's like those stats.
Kyrie can't run an offense?
Not like to get other people involved. At least in his early Cavs days, it was a struggle. It's like he'll give you 25, but to get other guys shots, it was like
who's he getting shots for, bro? In his early Cavs days, like Kyrie was the man. Like I'm not looking for him to pass to a lot of people, but I get what you're saying. Look, you
need two playmakers. You need two. You can't have one.
Here's the thing, though. Like
the one guy can't play 48 minutes.
Playmaking doesn't always have to be passing, right? And I think Emmanuel Quickley needs to be a lot more decisive and quick with his decisions. But the problem is that there's a few things. Number one, he picks up his dribble way too soon. Number two, he stops his dribble too soon too. So it's not just he picks up his dribble very often in the middle of the court, and then all the angles shut down because he's 6 feet tall. If Emmanuel Quickley was 6'6", bro, he would be the best player on this team by a country mile. Like, it's straight up. Like, I'm just telling you, just as it is, bro. If he was 6'6", 6'7", but you got to understand, like when you're small, like those angles are different, and you're going up against length and size, and you have like big defenders. I mean, even Donovan Mitchell is not by no one's definition a great defender. 6'10" wingspan, bro. There's a lot of angles that go away when you're already kind of tiny. And again, we saw this with Fred VanVleet. Fred VanVleet got really good at he was a really smart player. Like he could see the entire court really well. But even with Fred, you remember how many times I was like screaming that he wouldn't make certain passes, and he wouldn't make those passes because he hadn't learned how to. And you're always going to have this problem with smaller players. And the goal with Emmanuel Quickley is hopefully that because he's quicker, faster, longer than Fred, that he'll have a better outcome as a paint finisher. Mm-hmm. And, he has for the most part. He's getting better at it. So anyways, my point is be patient with Emmanuel Quickley, be patient with RJ Barrett, be patient with all these guys, because there's nobody on this team that is like where they're going to be next year. And that's the interesting thing, right? So it's like right now you're losing to the Cavs by 20 and, you know, it sucks. But maybe next year, every player on this team that's part of your core going forward is like 10% better. And then maybe the year after they're 10% better than that. And then maybe the year after they're 10% better than that. And maybe 10%, 10%, 10%. And maybe in 3 years, you're a 55 win team with exactly the same players because they've had the reps and the time to actually develop all these things that are missing in their game right now. Right. Yeah. So I think like if you're going to bet on upside, you bet on the athletic upside that you have in some of these players. Right. Now, obviously, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, all that stuff. There's, you know, shots that are going to remain broken. There are guys who are going to be like always going to be slightly limited passers, et cetera, et cetera. But I think like if Darko can teach OG Anunoby how to finish in the paint the way he has, he can teach anyone anything, man. Like I feel like that was just such a revelation for me. And I was listening to Spaces before we started this. I was on Twitter Spaces for a second, and there was some guy going on and on and on about how Nick Nurse would have fully unlocked Scottie Barnes, and I'm just like, shit. You guys are fucking crazy. You know, like they didn't watch 2 years of Scottie Barnes being boxed into this. Like Nick Nurse is going to unlock him. No, I think Darko's going to be fine. And I think with an entire offseason, but I would like to see both Scottie and look, Scottie does it too. The same thing that Emmanuel Quickley does, Scottie does it too. They both have the same habit, but they stop short of going into the paint. They don't dribble in the paint. Neither one of these guys is comfortable dribbling in the paint. What they need to do is rush. And they both need, the difference between them is when Scottie picks up his dribble or when he stops short, he's still 6'8", 240. Yeah. Right. So when Emmanuel Quickley does it, it's like, yo, these two need to get into the gym and be like, yo, you, me, you, you know, like we do the same fucking thing. And I think with Emmanuel Quickley, like, you know, a lot of like, you know, that play that they ran with, it was literally when Sam Merrill came into the game and he takes this little dribble handoff from Jared Allen on the screen and then goes right behind him and takes that three right from the top. Honestly, man, like that play needs to be run for Emmanuel Quickley like 8 times a game.
I was going to say this. So another issue with Quickley is, and I'm sure the coaching staff has been harping on this, you play 32 minutes and you've attempted 4 threes. Can't happen.
Sure. But I mean,
because you're not John Stockton. We need you. You're not playing the John Stockton role. We need you to get buckets.
I feel like he's really confused. We need him to get shots up. I think he's really confused right now too in terms of what he's supposed to be doing. They keep telling him like take 10 threes. And obviously that's great for his development. But like if the defense is taking away all your 3-pointers, you can't take 10 threes. And then you end up taking bad threes. You know what I mean? So this kind of like forced development. If he
gets off the ball, he'll take more threes. If he gets off the ball quicker, he'll put more threes up. You know?
That's fair. Yeah, he needs to get better at like, and he needs to like study tape of like Trae Young and like there was this other guy on Twitter Spaces. I don't know if you saw that saying like, you know, Emmanuel Quickley's gonna be better than Trae Young within 2 years. I was just like, yo, you must be insane. Look, if he ends up being like I don't know, like a 2.5 to 3 box of spineless guy, like if he ends up hitting like a height higher than Fred VanVleet did as a Raptor, you won this trade.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, if he hits anything above that, if he gets to like, you know, all-star level, like I fully think he has all-star potential. I think like I've been on record saying like I think he can make a couple all-stars, maybe even 3 all-stars. Let's see. You know, let's see what that looks like because shooting is a premium in the NBA. This guy is a great shooter and he just needs to learn how to get his shot off at the NBA level and against starters and being the gun guy. You know what I mean? It's different when you're doing it off of Randall and like, I mean, as good as Scottie is, he is not right now drawing the attention that Julius Randle does. And as good as, you know, Gradey and whatever amalgamation of pieces and RJ, whatever you have, like he was playing off of like really much better players. He had better screeners. He had consistent depth around him. He had great defenders. So he just wasn't like a guy that was on everyone's radar. He was going up against second units. This is a massive adjustment for him to kind of run a team. But I think long term, if I look at the Raptors offense, I'm thinking he's not handling the ball as a pick and roll ball handler more than like 15 possessions. Like he's not doing it. Like he's not doing Fred shit.
Yeah, but he has to be competent at it when asked, because it's going to happen.
That's the development. He
And
has to be competent, and like I wouldn't mind next year if maybe instead of like Scottie running those bench units, IQ runs those bench units.
that's a good idea. But I think we can all agree RJ's closer to a finished product than IQ is in terms of where they can go. Because I think RJ's limitations as a playmaker are set in stone.
Where were these limitations last game? He was awesome last game in terms of a passer last game, man. You see some of the passes that he threw last game? He was awesome.
He did. But I mean,
it's look, here's the thing. I
am equally like dribble handoffs. You know when he gets a dribble handoff and he gets to go downhill? Yeah. That's a different RJ.
Right, but then here's the thing though. It's different finishing against Jared Allen versus Alperen Şengün.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so like, I mean, on the one hand, you can be very impressed that Scottie Barnes didn't seem to give a shit and that he can do it against both. But you got to also understand that not everyone is going to finish well against Rudy Gobert and Jared Allen, because those two are literally like two of the three best defensive centers in the NBA. And they are earning their money because they make guys like RJ and Emmanuel Quickley into like not effective basketball players.
Another thing, our offense really got stagnant, and the thing I noticed that's even more prevalent against good teams is like the only guys who would make consistent like good reads and timely were like Gradey, Scottie, Kelly, and Jakob. Those are the four guys you can be like, and it's tough, right? Especially when the defense is really good. You can't hold the ball for half a second. You can't make the wrong pass.
Here's the thing, like
I think against this team, if there's only four guys who you can truly trust will do the right thing more often than not.
Here's the thing though, like it drives me crazy when people like, you know, take one game sample of Scottie and then they say, look, so told you can't score. And then you have a game like tonight where he did score and people would just shut up for a night. So I won't do the same thing with Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett, right? Like IQ has struggled because he's basically upgrading completely on a roll, right?
Yep.
RJ has not struggled though. As a Raptor, he's been fantastic. He's been really good. I am just like you in the sense that I can't stand these people that say Star J, he's the best player on the team, whatever. That's stupid. But that also doesn't mean that he can't get better. I think he can. He's 23 years old, man. So he can get better as a passer. He can get better as a defender. He can get better as a shooter. He can get better. He can get in better shape. I'm sure he can get better as a rebounder. I mean, he has like some very interesting athletic potential. Like there's a reason he was the number one ranked player in his draft class. Let us not forget that. There are some guys.
I even liked his defense tonight.
I think he tried really, really hard tonight. Yeah.
Was solid. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, any final thoughts, man?
Yeah. Gary Trent, man. I mean, what did he have today? 2 for 7, 2 for 5. I mean, he's always shooting about 40% from three. But him and IQ and RJ, that 1, 2, 3, Trent is so one-dimensional. It's like, and then it's tough, man. It's tough. If there are better options at this point, you know.
Surely, yeah. I mean, I think the Raptors have been very non-committal about his future for 2 years now, and there's a reason for that because he doesn't completely fit what you're trying to do. Again, as I mentioned in the last caller, like I think to Ghostface, I think he'd be great off the bench. Just unfortunately doesn't work off the bench. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they could re-sign him for 12 a year. But like, you know, anything you start going 15, 16, 17 with him, like I think like maybe the Raptors just say we'll cut our losses. So yeah. But I like him. I like him as a you know, as a teammate and a person. Like he just seems like a really positive guy. And you know, I just wish that he could do a little bit more than what he does, because again, as a fifth starter next to like LeBron, AD, whatever, like it might be great. And I'm surprised the Lakers didn't offer that 2029 like, you know, first round pick for him, because he could have thrived there, like, you know, really. But yeah, like, I mean, as the team is currently constructed, he will continue to struggle. And you're just starting to see like the ascent of Gradey Dick right now, and it's looking really good. And I think the more he plays, like the more he gets better, like the more he's going to eat into the minutes for Gary, and the more Ochai, he plays, and defensively he's going to also eat into Gary's minutes. But I've liked Gary's defense for the most part. Like the last game, I thought he was very pesky. Again, he's just limited because he doesn't rebound the basketball, and you get killed in lineups where he's on the court rebounding the basketball because his man is always able to beat him for rebounds. So yeah. Anyways, if he's playing 30 minutes tonight for you, you're probably not a championship team unless you have Hall of Famers across the board. So yeah.
If he could have been if he was at least a connector, right? But he's not even that.
Yeah,
that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
If he could be like the fifth guy in the starting lineup, but he can be like some guy who can thread it together.
Yeah.
But he can't even do that.
It's tough. Anyways, man, thanks a lot for calling. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
See ya. Elliot Roberts, what's going on, sir?
I'm well. Rob, you're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
I appreciate the channel. Can you hear me okay? Is everything all right?
I can. You're on a little bit of a video delay. You're kind of like moving in slow motion. But yeah.
Yeah, that I can. Do you want me to take the stop the cam and then speak from there?
No. You can keep the camera on. It's all good.
Okay. Love your show. Love your game analysis. Want to get down to the Pendants and see some of your films because they look very interesting.
Really? That's awesome, man. Thanks. I appreciate it.
No worries. But now comes the bad news.
What's the bad news?
The bad news is the title of your chat tonight. It's a bit triggering because I thought the Raptors were total garbage tonight. I thought they were a steaming pile of dung. They were quite simply second best in every capacity. And they may have tried hard, but the Cleveland Cavaliers gave them the smackdown tonight, quite simply.
They're a better team, man. Like I think at some point you just have to say you're outmatched. You're not going to beat Jared Allen. Like again, in fairness, it might be fair to say some Raptors played their heart out against the Cavaliers while we lost. It might be more fair to say that, but I'm trying not to be a divisive asshole as I was all of last year, saying like Scottie played well, Fred was ass. I'm trying to get away from this. Largely because that's not my personality. Largely because I like all the players on the team now. There's literally not one player on this team that I don't like. Literally all of them. Even the guys that I think need to go, Jalen McDaniels, Chris Boucher, Gary Trent to some extent, I don't dislike them at all. I just think they need to go. That's it. So there's no animus and whatever. And I think like after a night like last night where, okay, consider this. RJ Barrett, he was questionable coming into tonight's game. He struggled, right? Jakob Poeltl, he's coming off like a month off. He's been kind of ramping himself up. He played the game of his life last night. Am I going to really, really hold it against him for not being able to pull it up to get together for the second night? So it's about also having like a little bit of empathy too. Also, in a vacuum, Jared Allen's a better player than Jakob Poeltl. Straight up, he's just a way better player. So you got outclassed, you got outmatched, and they had the best player tonight. I think Scottie played like the best player. But it's pretty clear to me that Donovan Mitchell is the best player in this game, right? So,
yeah, and two feathers in our cap. Number one, I thought our bench was better than I've seen it all season. I was very, very encouraged by what they have to produce. I thought it brings a lot of promise to things. And number two, the Cleveland Cavaliers don't have Scottie Barnes, so I don't think they're going to win the title with that team in that conception as of now anyway. So again, they may fly high now, but I don't think they're going to get to the summit quite simply because they're missing that A1 guy that we had in 19. So again, and we have him now in Scottie Barnes. So again, Scottie Barnes was magnificent tonight, although he was short in a few of his 3-point shooting. I think most our 3-point shooting tonight was god awful. Quite simply, it was hard to watch. But
100%, yeah.
Yeah, but kudos to Gradey Dick. Gradey Dick gave a good account of himself. And
nice little reverse layup, little shades of
nice.
Like number 23 out there.
That was nice. That was nice. I like the flavor that Grady's producing, and quite simply, he is again progressing. To the level that I'm starting to like to see. But and Kelly, I like his debut tonight. I thought it was very, 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 very poignant, very, very timely in terms of his possessions. And there is promise there. Thank goodness. Now we have we have 2 center positions that are finally locked down, that we can finally develop. But let it be said, Darko's got a job in his hands. This is a 3 to 5 year project, and he better strap in, because we didn't look good tonight, man. We were polishing. With that title, we were polishing the turd, baby. We were polishing the turd there, Rob. And it was not the greatest of watch. But again, we're in a development mode, and again,
I disagree. I think it was good to watch, and I think, like, here's the thing. Like, I think when you're implementing 2 pieces, 2 new pieces who are playing a combined 40 minutes for you, you're gonna have some miscommunications defensively. The Raptors did. You're gonna have some miscommunications offensively. The Raptors did. You're gonna have some extra turnovers. The Raptors did. And it's an emotional night. We saw it with the Indiana Pacers, right? Like, they traded for one player, Pascal Siakam. They replaced one player, Bruce Brown. And it took them like 4 games to figure out how to even win. They were losing against the Portland Trailblazers, right? So it's the same thing when the Clippers traded for James Harden, right? They lost 6 straight, and then they ran roughshod over the league. I think what I saw tonight from that second unit, specifically, you mentioned it, Kelly Olynyk, Gradey Dick, Bruce Brown, and Ochai Agbagi with Scottie Barnes. Whether you run Scottie with that lineup, or you run RJ, or some combination of Scottie and RJ, Scottie and IQ in place of Bruce Brown, that lineup makes so much sense to me on a basketball level. It's just
you're right. You're absolutely
defensively, right. Offensively, you have a sufficient amount of spacing, cutters. You can play 5 out. I think the only thing at this point is, if you could replace Bruce Brown with Max Strus, this game flips. That spacing that you don't have with Bruce, what he's not doing for you that he typically did, in cases to the cutting and whatever. And of course, cutting is only as good as the playmaking around it. But I think, when I look at Kelly Olynyk kind of operating as that point center, I love it. I think the Raptors have been missing that player for a very, very long time. They had some version of that in Marc Gasol, and we saw how beautiful that could be.
Yeah.
And again, if Kelly is here for the next 3 to 4 years, and I see no reason he shouldn't be, because he definitely could be, you could develop you can potentially develop a center prospect with one of those draft picks. You could also have Jonte Porter, who I think has flashed some very nice potential as a passer himself. You have big playmakers. And now you're getting guard cutters. Grady is a good cutter, sharp. Bruce Brown, in theory, is a good cutter. RJ can, in theory, again, be a good cutter. Can Emmanuel quickly become more of a curl shooter? Can Grady do that? Now you're starting to build the pieces of a functional offense, but the pieces are all disjointed. They haven't played 5 minutes together. So give it some time. And I think for the successful season for the Raptors, obviously would be make a play-in spot, battle for something. I think what would be really just the base minimum for success would be, in the last 10 games, can you see something click with this unit, with this group, where some element of functional offense is starting to work? Because for all year, I've seen guys who are corner shooters in an offense where they shouldn't be corner shooters, and they're shooting 16%, 18%, like Pascal Siakam early on, a guy who should be screening, cutting, whatever, he's not. It's just weird. You had a guy trying to implement an offense without the pieces to run that offense. Right now, he has the pieces to run that offense. In theory, all of the pieces that you need to run that offense. You need a point guard who can actually bend and stretch the defense from 25 to 28 feet to play the 0.5 offense. But you also need a point guard who makes quicker decisions than Emmanuel quickly, right? You need, a downhill attacker like an RJ Barrett to be a bit of a release valve for Scottie on the opposite side. But you also need Scottie Barnes.
He was a bull in the China shop tonight. He was some of his decisions.
He was bad,
really, really bad. He was indecisive. He was. I remember that one time, and he had a literal dunk, and no one was objecting to him, and he tried to lay up and he missed. And I was like, "What are you doing?" It's like they've given you a dunk the ball and get back on D. What
I think it's something with his knees. He's every single time he gets off the bench, he's got his knees all wrapped up and stuff. So he's probably playing through some pain. I always asked for more empathy for Scottie last year when he was playing through some pain. So I'm going to extend that same empathy to all the players on this team. we don't ever know like what players are going through. What I do know is that the Raptors had no business winning this game tonight, and they didn't win this game tonight. They had no business blowing the lead last night. They did blow the game. So I'm happier about this loss than I was about last night's win. If you're being keeping a stack on that. But yeah. Any final thoughts, man?
Final thoughts. I don't think they're going to make the play-in. I think this team there's too much development needs to go on before they make it. I think it's a goal, great, but I don't think they're gonna do it. And it's a tale of two cities. I think Cleveland and Toronto. I mean, they were neck and neck at one time, and now Cleveland has gone yay high, and we've gone so low because of the fact that they. I mean, give Cleveland credit. They've drafted and developed very, very well. And they have a seamless side that are A1 on defense. They have such great defense back there, and we used to be able to do that. And I was saying that in the comments as well. We used to be able to draft and develop and be this sort of A1 type. But again, we got a championship out of this, and I hope those days are returning now that Mahalela is back and now that Darko's leading us. So again, I mean, we have to be patient, but I say this is a 3 to 5 year rebuild. Don't think that this is going to be a quick fix because there's a lot of work to be done.
I think you're right, but I think it can be expedited greatly because number one, the Cleveland Cavaliers ended up trading multiple picks, right, for a star player in Donovan Mitchell, right, and they have had almost no playoff success despite.
They're not winning a title. They are definitely not winning a title. They're not winning a title with this team. Let me say
not all playoff success is title, but to case in point, let me just pull this up for a second here. So this is the Cavaliers win-loss record year by year. So I just wanted to show this to everybody since you were pointing it out. So this is where they're at right now. Let's look at the percentages of wins year by year. It's literally grown like clockwork. So this is the first year that LeBron left. They were 19 and 63. That's 23%. Then they went to 29%, then 30%, then 53%, then 62%, then 68%. How many years is that? That's 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 years, 6 years. Okay. Yeah. And here they lost in the Eastern Conference first round. Okay. So they've had exactly, let's see here. Let me see. How many games did they win in that series? Against
I think Knicks? It was against the Knicks. I think it was like 1 or 2, I believe. I know they won I think it was I think they won. Did it go to the final? It was a best of 5, wasn't it? I believe.
Let's see here. Okay, so they've lost. Okay, so this is perfect. That's great. So they lost 1-4. So to put this into perspective, since 2018, 2019, the Cleveland Cavaliers have won 1 playoff game. Right. Guess how many playoff games the Raptors have won over that time? Exactly. Could you care to guess?
Yeah, they're the best team in terms of playoff runs, I think, in the NBA within that time frame, I believe. I think they're
so we're talking 6 years, right? So the past 6 years, Toronto Raptors playoff success. Okay, let's just check this out. So we have it on record that the Cavs have won 1 playoff game over the last 6 years, right? Check this out. The Raptors, on the other hand, won 16 in the first year of that run because you know that for sure. So here we are. So here they won a championship. That's 16. They won 16 games there. Then they lost in the Eastern Conference semis. Yep. So that was the Boston series, if I'm not mistaken. So that they won 4, 5, 6, 7. So you're already at 23. 23 games, and then they won 2 in 2021, 2022. So you've won 25 games in the same stretch as the Cavs have won 1. To put that into perspective, it's like, whew. Now, I will say this. The Cavaliers took 6 years. I don't think the Raptors are going to take 6 years. I would, at most, expect the Raptors to take 1 more dip next year into the play-in. They'll be competitive next year. I don't think this team wants to waste 1 more season, okay? So can they do it? Absolutely. They have a boatload of draft picks, right? Yep. They have an ascending star. They have an all-star. They have capable veterans all across the roster. Bruce Brown, Jakob Poeltl, Kelly Olynyk, All of these guys are NBA players. You have a team full of NBA players. What you're right now missing is cohesion, time, development, and a second star.
Yes.
Will you develop that second star in Emmanuel quickly? Lord knows. I don't know.
I
Will RJ
I pray that OG comes back in free agency. I really
let that happen, and I will become forever like a Raptor legend because I swear I started that entire thing.
Yeah.
So if that actually happens, I deserve my kudos for that. But I remain kind of like 5% on that happening. But I mean, whatever you do with cap space, it's gonna be better than Jalen McDaniels, right? It's gonna be better than the absolute dead weight contract of Spencer Dinwiddie right now. Whatever you do with the cap space is going to be better than what you're doing with it right now. You're going to get an upgrade. You're going to get 2 more picks. You're going to replace some of those like fringe prospects on your team right now. That Justice Winslow, you know, those 2 spots on the roster that we just filled with Mogi and Mogi. I don't know, Mogi and Mogi and you know, Justice Winslow. Those are going to be 2 rookies next year, right? So you're going to have Gradey. He's going to develop a little bit more. You're going to have RJ. You're going to have Ochai. You're going to have Emmanuel quickly. You're going to have Scottie Barnes take another step. Trust me, him and Brian are going to be in the lab working on that handle, working on that pull-up jumper.
Scottie's got to work in his handles, man. Scottie's got to work in his handles. He
looks pretty good tonight, though, right?
He was a bit sloppy in certain capacity, but I trust next year his handles will be that much better. I know that. I really do know that.
I mean, it's difficult, you know, at the NBA level when you're this big, you know, to be like really, really compact and, you know, to be also dynamic and, you know, you're working with like diminished space. But suddenly tonight it looked a lot better. You know why? Because there was so much space. There was so much space. Kelly Olynyk was providing space left and right. Gradey Dick was providing space.
I love Olynyk. I love Olynyk.
Me too.
He was an excellent acquisition. But I remember you went 8 when we didn't bring in Dinwiddie, but I see you calm down now.
I've calmed down only on the basis that I feel like maybe Spencer Dinwiddie wouldn't have wanted to be here. I think that might have been it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like, also, if he was here, he would definitely be your best option to do a lot of stuff that you need Scottie and IQ and RJ to get much better at. I think, like, there's this sort of thing with NBA locker rooms where guys kind of tend to gravitate towards the player who's most sure and most esteemed and most accomplished. And none of these players have done anything close to what Spencer Dinwiddie has done in his career in terms of just acumen as a shot creator. So if Dennis Schroeder was able to come in and just hijack your entire offense and freeze out Scottie and freeze out IQ, I shudder to think what a much better player would have done. So maybe that was the rationale. You know, maybe it's also like a bit of do-goodedness, you know, where you're just letting a guy who's maybe like not at a point in his career where he wants to be part of a rebuild.
I think that's the reason why they let him go on waivers. I think they talked to Dinwiddie and he said, I don't want to be here. And they said, okay, we'll let you go on waivers and see if you can find a better team. Absolutely.
Anyways, Elliot, thanks a lot for calling in, man. Appreciate it. And, you know, if you do decide to come to Penn Dance, definitely, you know, give me a shout or you'll probably see me around or whatever. And if you need any recommendations, some really awesome films, shoot me an email.
I will indeed shoot you an email. But great job. You're doing a fantastic job here. You're the one source I have post Raptors game now. And for Raptors news, I think you're doing a fabulous job, and your success is well warranted. So
appreciate it. Appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. Bye. Good night. Okay, and guys, I love first-time callers. It's awesome. Thanks a lot to Elliot for coming on. Thank you a lot for Coach Mo, Ghostface. Obviously, Coach Mo, Ghostface have been regular callers. Let's get to the post game. It's usually a great time for me to not have to talk for 7-8 minutes. It's always great
to play for a team that you'd only you never had a practice with, never really had a shoot around with.
The reason I've taken myself off the screen when these calls come up is because I cannot hide my disappointment and how stupid some of these questions are. But okay, sure.
Were your expectations going in?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of don't know what to expect. Just trying to assimilate the best you can. Obviously, it's really tough. You don't know really what's going on both ends of the floor. I think that was probably pretty evident in the first half. The second half, we kind of found a little bit of rhythms, found like a few simple sets that everybody kind of knew. Got better that way. I mean, it pretty much sums it up.
Let's just say you had that lineup in the second half, and it was you with Scottie and quickly, and
Yeah.
a lot of spacing on the floor, and you're able to kind of get into some of your, some of the plays you're kind of known for. And
Yeah.
see some of the potential there.
Yeah, definitely. Gradey was out there spacing the floor, RJ as well. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of potential with that. Scottie can do a lot of things, so he's really easy to play with. Then when you have those shooters and slashers, and you have Quick out there, we could definitely catch a rhythm with that group.
The moment where you check in and get the ovation, I'm sure you've imagined that a few times. Did it live up to your expectations?
Yeah, definitely. It just gives you chills. A special moment. Having the support and love of this whole country, and it was evident.
Is there any promising things you take from tonight? You saw a couple things that worked, and can you just go through what you might see possibilities with these guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can take from it. Keep building on. We have a lot of guys who are really talented, can do a lot of different things. Like he said, just spacing the floor, playing like kind of that 5-out ball movement, where you're passing, cutting, moving, sitting screen, slipping out. If they switch, you can dive, roll, post. Kind of similar to what Scottie's been doing, just helping them get to a little more actions on the weak side. Once they move it, and just making sure that ball's popping around.
Anything you've learned about Scottie in the past 24 hours that maybe you didn't know?
Yeah, I mean, he's a very, very good passer. He's definitely a way better passer than I knew or imagined or figured, whatever the verbiage you want to use. But he could really pass the ball. He sees the floor really well, and his IQ is really high. He's coming up to me, telling me things that now I see and I know, but he's telling me them, before I tell him them, really. You know what I mean? So it's really fun to see that and see him continue to develop and grow and continue to be vocal.
Scottie, anything about your new teammates that kind of jumped out? You got a good run of minutes with Kelly and Ochai, and just anything that you were able to pick up?
I really like those guys. They bring some good character to our team, but on the floor, Ochai, defensive presence, the way he's talking out there on the floor, it was new. It's new to them, the way we play, from the way Utah plays, and the defensive principles and things like that. But, they just got to learn that and adjust. So, it's just going to take time from there. Kelly, he's a real smart player on the floor. Playing through him at the elbows, how the key, just being able to make those decisions and seeing what we got out there on the floor. He can stretch the floor out, and then, he's a communicator as well. So, as things blend with us, we're just going to keep getting better. But great fits for us.
It's early yet, but can you see the potential for yourself of playing in a lineup with a stretch five and some of the other shooting you can put on the floor and what it could mean for you?
For sure. Like I said, those guys are communicators, good defenders. Just getting better. It's going to take some time, but, we're just going to keep getting better. Both of them can shoot the ball really well, so, give spacing out there on the floor, and they're smart. So, you can trust the ball when it's in their hands and make reads and, find other guys as well, too. Kelly's smart. He's been doing that. When he was in Utah, he was an orchestrator at the top of the key, finding those cuts, being able to go to handoffs, DHOs, just finding so many different things. So, smart player.
Scottie, looked like you were being especially vocal tonight on the bench, directing defense and everything. Is that something with time now in your third year that you're getting more and more comfortable doing, kind of being that vocal leader?
Something that I should really be doing more. Real locked in tonight in the zone. We really needed it. Just trying to tell them be square on the ball. Just trying to help our defense. I feel like they was getting a lot of easy pick and rolls or easy slip outs or dunks, getting easy lanes creating. So just being able to being able to communicate on the floor, I feel like it really helped us when we was down really bad. So I feel like it helped us on the defensive end. We need that more from everybody. We just got to take those steps.
In the
a setting in which like Emmanuel and RJ are practically Raptors veterans now, is that more important for you to embrace that role and sort of be that one of the consistent voices?
We just all got to have a voice on the team. They've been very talkative as well, but we all just gotta have that voice if we really want to win. Gotta talk out there on the defensive end and play hard and protect the paint. That's what we gotta do to win.
Specifically with Kelly as a three-point shooter, how do you think it'll change the way defenses sort of defend the paint against you?
They worry about him on the outside. So it opens up more driving lanes, more kickouts. Defense collapse, kick out to one more. They just gotta be able to watch him at the perimeter. It just gives more spacing. It gives more flow to our offense, and we can play out of that as well. They close out, keep driving and kicking, swinging it. It helps us. We saw a little bit of that today, but it's just gonna keep getting better as time goes.
Sorry, go ahead. Is there a bit of a relief now being past the deadline and just kind of knowing that this is the group that you're going to have for the next few months and be able to go forward with and build together?
I guess. After the first one happened, it was just whatever from there. Things was going to happen, but, we got our team. I feel like everybody can stay focused, have their mindset straight. We just got to stay together to the end of the year and try to win. I feel like that's the main thing. Everybody just got to stay focused and lock in and shouldn't worry about anything else but other than trying to win.
It certainly seemed like a difference between a team that's played together for a long time and one that really doesn't know each other that well. Do you feel that with your guys tonight?
Definitely, it felt like that. I thought that they opened the game pretty well with our starters. We knew what we wanted to accomplish. I thought that we showed a lot of fight and toughness to start the game. Also, offensively, it was good execution. First half, Scottie was outstanding, the way he was creating for himself and for his teammates. But to be expected, once we start subbing and with new guys, it was hard for them to know what we're running and what we want to do defensively. There was a lot of breakdowns, but that's to be expected. And now we're going to have a shoot around, actually, ability to do a little bit of work in preparation for San Antonio and to build on that.
Are you seeing an evolution in Scottie's game, the direction you want it to go, and then how quickly are you see him becoming what you want him to become?
Yes, I seeing a lot of improvement there. I think that he's doing much better job picking moments on the court where he just needs to go and be aggressive and find his teammates in those situations. Also on the post-ups, he does really good job of scanning the court and finding who is open and where is the opportunity to score. I thought that probably this was his best post-up game he had this season in a regard of finding the balance when to attack and score and when actually to find his teammates. He had a couple of outstanding passes like that one post-up he had when he zipped the ball with the left hand on the opposite side corner to Gary. Was a high level play, and he's more on the ball, as you can see. He's handling more in pick and rolls. He's finding way how to score, but also how to connect with teammates.
He also seems more demonstrative, he's taking a more of a vocal leadership role. That's what you kind of encourage him to do, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. He was so vocal on the court. He was so vocal tonight on the bench. He was talking about, helping guys what they need to do. He's also trying to orchestrate things on the court and help put guys in certain spots on the court. I think he's really taking the next step as a leader of this team, and I'm really proud of his contributions tonight.
That was my question.
All right.
The Cavaliers have won 9 games in a row. What makes them so hard to play against, not just for the Raptors, but for everyone?
I mean, you could see tonight, I thought that we played really hard. and they played really hard. Plus, I think they have continuity with this team. A lot of players that were there, they added a couple of pieces during the summer. They have such a good balance of really good shooters, a couple of players that can really create off the dribble. They have amazing size in starters in Allen and Mobley. Mobley is continuing to develop as a player. They have just a lot of tools there and continuity with the coach and with the team that over the course of time they just continue to get better. I think that right now they're playing really high-level basketball, and a lot of respect for them and Coach JB and what he's doing with the team.
Did you see a few things from Kelly where you could see how he could connect with some of your guys? He had a few plays as a screener, a few plays running screen and roll, some dribble handoff plays.
For sure, Kelly, we know what Kelly brings to the table there, and I was glad that Kelly and Ochai, they could see how hard our guys play and how hard Scottie plays, and that kind of rubbed off of them tonight. And they those two guys, especially, I thought that they did much better job in the second half there. And that has to be a standard for us, how hard we play, how we're together we play, and then along the way we need to figure out our chemistry and combinations and DHOs and keepers and all of that. But definitely Kelly did a good job of blending in with those guys tonight.
As the shots are starting to fall for Gradey, it seems like he's having an easier time attacking off the dribble on the closeouts as well. Is that the defense kind of closing out harder, or is it just simply a matter of confidence and seeing a few shots fall?
It is a lot of things. Confidence comes from work more than anything else, and he's been doing outstanding job, working every single day and putting a lot of into his development, shooting on the balance, how to create shots, how to relocate, how to cut, how to finish, and all of that is slowly coming for us to see the fruits of that work. The other thing for sure, when you're making a couple of shots, defense is more alert and being more aggressive, so that's opening out other stuff for him.
Thanks for watching the Toronto Raptors YouTube channel. Check
every time they zip it right in there, right? Jalen McDaniels can't play a single minute for the Raptors, but he can announce that you should subscribe to the Raptors YouTube channel. Jesus. If you want people to subscribe to the YouTube channel, do not use Jalen McDaniels. We'll get people to unsubscribe. Okay, here's the thing. Really like what I heard from Kelly Olynyk. It takes one to know one when it comes to basketball IQ, right? And Kelly is one of the smartest players in the NBA. And for him to be saying like, yeah, like this guy's really smart, that's the whole point. If you get the game of basketball, you understand that this guy is on a trajectory that very few 22-year-olds have ever been on. Oh my God. Okay, listen. I understand everyone has a right to an opinion, but please understand that it is pretty freaking crazy to be saying RJ Barrett is an all-star or even close to an all-star. He is not a top 100 player in the NBA right now. Really, not kidding. Okay? The fact that he has been able to attack like in the paint, he is very limited as a player right now. Okay? That doesn't mean that he can't get better. He just has a long way to go before he's touching all-star production. You're talking about a guy who's pretty much been like negative impact his entire career. The fact that he's flashing positive impact right now is good. It's very good. But let's not get carried away. This is like saying Gradey Dick is a borderline all-star right now. Emmanuel Quickley, in my opinion, and Gradey Dick have a clearer path to me to becoming all-stars. RJ Barrett, there are guys like him in the NBA. Karis LeVert comes to mind, as a guy who's like a straight line driver, but Karis LeVert, like TJ Warren, like there's a lot of guys who can score, you know what I mean? Like buckets are buckets, right? There's a lot of guys who can score buckets, but it's like, can you defend? Can you space? Can you do all that other stuff? And that's where, like, it's never been a question about, can RJ put the ball behind his back and just drive downhill? Great. But what happens when the defense gets better? What happens when, he starts drawing like a second defender? What happens if he have the passing ability to pass out of that? That's what the development reps are for. Okay. But you don't like RJ right now is probably definitely not a better player than Scottie was last year. Can he take the same leap that Scottie took? Great. If he does that, then you have a very competent second option next year. Okay. We're talking higher volume 3-point shooting. We're talking more reliable free throw shooting, which he did get to a good place in New York earlier this year in terms of, his free throw shooting. This is something he takes very seriously. I don't doubt the work. I don't doubt the work with RJ Barrett. I don't doubt that he's willing to work, and I like him a lot. But it's just when people get a little bit too carried away with scores, it drives me mental, because it's like when Gary Trent Jr. was going on that 31-point heater. Are you telling me that RJ Barrett's last 15 games have been more impressive than that Gary Trent stretch, in Tampa, where he scored like 31 points, 30 points, 28 points? Like, you should look at his game logs for that season. It was crazy, right? Takes a lot of shots, makes a lot of shots. RJ's been efficient too. Gary was efficient during that stretch as well. He still couldn't net you 2 second-round picks. Okay, so he's 23 years old. If you want to talk about as an all-star, well, I got news for you. If he was a borderline all-star at 23 years old, right now you'd be able to get like 3 first-round picks for him. I don't know if on his contract right now you can get 3 second-round picks for RJ Barrett right now. I'm just being straight up with you. This sounds like hating. It's not hating. I like RJ Barrett. I just don't like this segment of the fan base that has decided to take 21 points, 20 points on solid efficiency and say that's an all-star. No, it is not. Colin Sexton is not an all-star. Cam Thomas is not an all-star. All of these guys are better scorers than RJ Barrett right now. Chill the hell out. Right? Like, you can be real about it without gassing it up to the next level, right? You know what I mean? Anyway. Jeez. Okay, let's go to Tankathon. This is where the Raptors are. This is sorted by strength of schedule, and the Toronto Raptors are 24th in terms of strength of schedule. The team that they directly need to catch is 19th, unfortunately. It's going to be a tough climb. But some of the teams ahead of them that they could potentially want to catch, like the Chicago Bulls, are 11th. Does that matter? I don't know. Another team that they may be looking to catch, unfortunately, has the easiest schedule remaining, which is the Orlando Magic. So in terms of that, like, it's tough, right? It's tough for the Raptors. Let's look at the Raptors schedule for the rest of the year, and we'll just kind of part it out on that note. Okay. So in terms of the Raptors schedule, you will be happy to know that your boy will be at the San Antonio game to watch Victor Wembanyama in his first game against Toronto. And I might even get really, really close. I'm going with Vince. Might have a hookup to get super close, get some courtside Wemby action. I'm excited because Wemby is one of my favorite players in the NBA, obviously. I've talked a lot about him last year, and I'm just excited to see him play basketball. I'm pretty sure I'm like 5'11". I don't think I'm ever going to feel shorter in my life than I'm looking at a 7'5" basketball player. It's going to be crazy. Okay, let's see here. I'll tell you right now, probably we're not going to do the post-game live from Real Sports. I'm probably going to have to rush home and like do it an hour later or something like that. But we'll see. We'll see like what we're feeling at that time. Maybe we do a post-game live. It was just kind of clunky. When we did it at the thing, there was a lot of like turning the phone, leaning the phone up against, the quality is kind of shit. So we'll see Rob on TV. You might. That'd be crazy. That would be crazy. If the camera flashes to me, there's going to be a lot of booing. There will be a lot of booing. I'm assuming a lot of Raptor fans know what I look like, and they probably hate my guts. Every time I go to a Raptors game, it's really weird. Like, there's always like 6 or 7 people, and I'm always a little bit on edge about, did I insult their favorite player at some point? Are they big Fred VanVleet fans? If I see a 23 Raptors jersey, I'm done. I'm out. I'm going the other way. I'm taking the other elevator. Okay, so in terms of where I think the Raptors could finish, let's just take a look at the schedule. So here we got one game. How many winnable games do the Raptors have? And let's just tack it on to their schedule. Let me just say the games that I think they can win instead of the games that they will win, because I don't know if they will win these games. I'm just saying, like, can they win this game? Okay. Yes. So that's 1. Okay. So the Raptors have 19 wins right now. So that puts them at 20. Okay. No. Yes. That's 21. 22. No. No. 23. 24. No. 25. No. 26. 27. I think they'll get one of these. 28 maybe against the Kings. That's crazy. 29, 30. Shit. 31, 32, 33. So you're looking at like best case scenario 33 games, right? 33 wins would put you where? And let's just see if the Hawks are on a better trajectory than that. So one sec. Pull out the calculator. So that's a 40% winning percentage. And the Hawks, as it currently stands, are 45%. So it's looking like you're going to need the Hawks or the Bulls, probably one of those teams, to have a complete meltdown, basically, in order to catch them. Because in order to be a 45-win team, right? Just let me do some math here. You need 37 wins. 37 wins is the golden number to track the Hawks. 37 wins is almost twice as many wins as you have right now, which is crazy. So you would need to win 17 games. That's crazy. You need to win 18 games, actually. So let's go back to that schedule and let's get real optimistic. Let's see if you can win 18 games. Let's get real optimistic, okay? Let's just be like super homers about this whole thing. Where are we here? Okay, 18. Okay, let's just count down. 17, 16, 15, 14. No. 13, 12. No. 11. No. 10. Okay. 9, 8. Okay. 7, 6, 5, 4. If Joel Embiid's not back. 3, 2, 1, 0. Maybe. Man, you need to run the table, basically. You need to play the best basketball you've played in your lives. You need to bust your ass every single night. You need to, unfortunately, pray for injuries for other teams. You need to pray for absolute success for your team. Chances are the Raptors are going to end up with 30-plus wins in this season, which means you're going to end up exactly where you didn't want to end up, but you'll convey like the 9th or 10th pick, and you remain somewhat having a chance to maybe move up in the draft and keep your pick. Who knows, right? Of course, there's also the disaster class in which you win like 4 more games the rest of the season because who knows? Like this team is ass enough that they could win 4 more games. So you could win this game. You could lose to the Spurs. Right? Let's be real. Like you could lose to the Spurs. There's like with Victor Wembanyama, there's like a lot of length inside. RJ and IQ struggle against length. The team just mails it in. Right? You could also shut down guys. You could potentially suffer an injury. There's so many things that can go wrong for this team. Why are you skipping over the Lakers like they're good? Because they are good, dude. What are you talking about? Like Anthony Davis? You really want to see RJ Barrett and Emmanuel quickly try to drive into Anthony Davis? Yikes. Anyways, I think it's tough. Okay. I think the road to the playoffs is tough. You're going to need to win some games that you're not supposed to win. And ultimately, you know, if you look at the strength of schedule, you have a bunch of games against teams like the Wizards, the Nets. You need to run the table on the Nets. You got 3 games against the Nets. Can you win all 3 of them? Wait, you got 2 games. No, you got 3 games against the Nets. You got 3 games against the Pacers. If you can go 3-0, 3-0 on those, because those are like kind of like 50-50 games. Like I've counted them as beating the Nets, but I mean, like the Nets can fully kill this team, right? Like we know that, right? Ben Simmons is back. He's a really good defender. Probably a really good matchup for Scottie Barnes, unfortunately. You know, you got Nick Claxton in the middle. You got like scoring. You got Dennis Schroeder out for blood. Like, I mean, 18 out of 29 is doable. If I'm the Raptors right now, if I was the coach, which I'm not, thank God, but I mean, if I was, my message to the team would be, we need 18 wins. So let's just start getting them. Give them something to do. You know, we need 18 wins. Let them know that you're damn serious about making the play-in, that you want this Cinderella season. I'll tell you right now, if the Raptors close this season, you know, 18 and 11 in their last 29, I'll tell you right now, one thing that is for sure, they're going to be a hell of a team in the play-in because they'll be playing the best basketball going into the play-in. Now, if they finish 11th or 12th, you know, which is where they currently are, obviously this is not like the end of the world. This is a young team. A lot of development needs to happen. I pray that people will be patient because look, this channel has called for this for like 2 years now, right? Let's be honest. We're not going to start crying now that we finally have what we want. What we wanted forever is ball movement. What we wanted was an offense that was developing Scottie in the way that he wanted to be developed. We talked about young players, talked about dynamic players, talked about players who fit into a motion offense, who had some dynamic skills that can be developed. We talk about athletes who are not just athletes, but are actual basketball players. Ochai Agbagi has real basketball skills. Defensively, offensively, he cuts. He's a smart player. I'm looking forward to seeing him. I'm seeing, you know, we need marginal growths. Like we need more Gradey Dicks, really, basically like that. You know, Gradey Dick over his last 12 games, someone just sent me the stat. He's shooting 44% from 3, dude. Like, given where he started the season to where he's ended now, this coaching staff, not that they needed any more flowers or any more credibility or anything, but they have proven that they can make players better, right? Now, you have extra draft picks. You have like 2 extra draft picks. You have expiring contracts. You got financial flexibility. Well, no shit, you gave up talent to get that, right? But I think like despite the fact that you may definitely argue that the Raptors were more talented to start the season, I'll remind you, you lost against the Detroit Pistons, who are actually kind of turning around their season. I watched their game against the Clippers today. It was very interesting. Shout outs to Norman Powell. I hope he feels better. That was a lot of blood. You lost to the Pistons with Pascal Siakam and Dennis Schroeder playing pretty well. This is a team that's been asked for a while. Okay, they've been asked, they've been flawed. I think they have pieces that fit now. The Kelly Olynyk piece fits. Ochai Agbagi, you finally have a defensive prospect to replace, you know, some version of what you lost with OG Anunoby. Let's be real. At the draft, like at the moment they were drafted, Ochai Agbagi, OG Anunoby. Similar. Very similar. Okay. I think OG's the better prospect. Fine. Injury concerns. Fine. But very similar. Okay. So OG was younger. OG was bigger athlete, bigger potential, blah, blah, blah. But there's no reason to think that Ochai Agbagi is done growing at 23. People do not grow at the same time. I'm telling you that this guy's track record of growth at Kansas was impressive, that he has a chance to develop into more than what he's shown. I fully agree with what he said about himself. I think it shows good self-awareness for him to say that he did not play well in Utah. He did not. But it also shows you that he's not just some guy who's just content to be in the league. He's not some guy who just wants to just be around. He's not, no offense, Jalen McDaniels, you know, a guy who's just like, okay, got my $4.5 million, stuck around in the league for 2 more years, I'm good. No, this is a guy who has serious basketball ambitions, and they fit within the team dynamic. They're not basketball decisions to bet on yourself. They are like, I want to be the best player I can be. I really like his energy, guys. Really do. And I think I'm really happy that Scottie shouted out in that post-game scrum where he talked about, you know, how he's always talking. That's great. That's great. One guy starts talking, that sets the culture. These guys have been well coached. You know, shout outs to the Kansas Jayhawks, man. They develop well. Villanova Wildcats, Kansas Jayhawks, there are certain programs where you just know what you're getting when you take players from those programs because they've been coached up well. He spent 4 years being coached up very well. Then he had Will Hardy for 2 years. That's a year and a half. That's another great coach. He's been coached well, and it shows. Okay. I think that finish that he had, that little athletic, when's the last time you saw a Raptor do that? Be honest. Norman Powell, probably. DeMar DeRozan. That's the conversation we need to have. Can he use some of the knowledge and skills that Darko and Jama have had developing wings like him with his profile? Can they use the things that helped them connect with those wings to help him? And has he bought into that? I have no doubt he's bought into it. No doubt. I have no doubt that Masai Ujiri, being someone who knows his family, is a comforting thought for, a 23-year-old whose career is not off to the greatest start and probably not the start that he had envisioned as a lottery pick, right? There's a lot of people saying that he's washed. He's a bust. He's, this and that. I disagree. He is going to be an NBA player for a very long time. How good an NBA player remains to be seen, but I think he'll be good. RJ Barrett has work to do. I think he can get there too. I think Emmanuel Quickley can get there too. I think Scottie Barnes can get there too. Be patient with this team. It is going to be an interesting ride. It's going to be an interesting ride. And who knows? When the Raptors win their next playoff game, will half these guys be on the team anymore? I have no idea. But what I do know right now is there are no bad vibes, and it's showing in the energy that the Raptors presented tonight. There is, however, a lot of flawed basketball players who are very incomplete that need a ton of reps in order to get to where they're eventually going to go. And I have no doubt that with this coaching staff and with this culture that they've built up over the last couple of years, well, not last couple of years, really last couple of months, because the culture was kind of shit earlier in the season as well. I have no doubt that the offseason is going to be fun, that Scottie and Gradey are going to work super hard in the offseason, come back as better players, that Emmanuel Quickley is going to, develop, sign, and kind of see the faith that this organization has in him, that he and Scottie are going to develop some of that two-man action that can become really potent. Again, we're talking basketball theory more than actual execution at this point, because everything is theory when it comes to young players, right? When you draft a Victor Wembanyama or a Chet Holmgren, and they're 20, 21 years old. Granted, no player on the Raptors has the level of upside as, Victor Wembanyama per se, right? Unless you're unusually high on Scottie Barnes. But you don't say, okay, well, he's a 2 boxes minus guy right now, so that's what he's going to be, or 1.5, or he's negative warp or whatever. You don't say that. What you say is, what is the potential of a 7'5", 7'4" rim stopper who can dribble, penetrate, and shoot when his jump shot gets 15% better, when he gets 10% stronger? You start projecting with young players, and sometimes your projections are damn wrong, but maybe sometimes it's not your projections that are really wrong. It's the process through which you're trying to execute those projections, right? I've said for years that I think the Raptors haven't forgotten how to draft, merely that, number one, they weren't drafting high enough, and number two, they've forgotten how to develop, right? The culture that we talk about when it comes to the Toronto Raptors' best seasons, the best years of the Raptors, that culture of veterans who really give a shit about their young teammates, the culture of guys who are just playing for each other, playing hard. I'm seeing remnants of that culture tonight. I'm seeing remnants of it last night. Granted, it fell apart last night, and it fell apart tonight as well. It was stop and go. But I saw hard compete. I saw a team that was not willing to quit, even though they're down 15, 18 points. I did not see a team just hang their head and quit tonight. So that's why I am happier about this loss than I was about last night's win. It's not because I'm pro tank. It's not because I'm an idiot. It's just because I think that in any given moment, you are constantly showing the character of what you're developing and who you are. When you go into when you go to sleep at night, when you go into the locker room, you have to answer yourself one question. Did we try? Did we try? Were we bested tonight, or did we beat ourselves? I think too often this season, the Raptors have gone into the locker room hanging their heads, knowing that they could have done more. I don't know if tonight they could have done much more. There's a lot of things they need to clean up. Obviously, they didn't play a perfect game, but I'm saying in terms of an effort, compete level, do you expect RJ Barrett to do any better a job defensively than he did on, Donovan Mitchell tonight? Hard to say. Do you expect Scottie Barnes to put up more than 24, 10, and 10 against a team this long and athletic and work even harder than he did. Maybe, he needs to clean up that couple of threes he gave up or whatever, one rotation that he missed. These are all these are growing pains, right? These are the growing pains of a 22-year-old franchise player who's just learning now how to assert himself in certain spots. So I am hopeful, and while it may not result in a play-in berth, I certainly hope it does. I hope the Raptors pull off a miracle, and for now, at least, I believe they have the talent to beat some of these teams that they maybe in theory right now shouldn't be beating, because again, they have rotation players on their team in Jakob Poeltl, Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, who steady the ship just enough for their young players to find their place within the offense. And I think if you can get some of those guys clicking with their new teammates, if you can get some practices under their belt, some of the miscommunications and some of the defensive breakdowns that we saw tonight are probably going to go away. So yeah, let's hope. Okay, I am back to Pendance Planning. Link is in the description if you want to check out Pendance. I have mentioned it time and time again. If financial restrictions are, stopping you from checking out Pendance, shoot me an email. I will happily get you a couple of tickets to a screening of your choice. There are plenty of really, really awesome screenings coming towards Pendance. There are also 2 incredible workshops, one on film financing. If you're a film professional out there who is wondering how to finance a $2 million co-pro with Poland, or whether you're thinking about, starting, your own, campaign to start your own feature, getting into the film industry, I think these are very beneficial workshops. If you're a content creator out there, as I know some of you are, there's an editing workshop on Sunday called Between the Scenes, which pretty much saved my feature film, which was really cool. There's the ad for Pendance. Word from our sponsor. The Pendance Film Festival is happening February 22nd to 25th. It is a celebration of international films. It is a brilliant film festival in its 7th season. Prior to the COVID pandemic, it was the fastest growing film festival in the world. What is my affiliation with Pendance? What are they paying me to say this? Well, I am Pendance. I'm the festival director and founder of Pendance. It is my baby. And if you love great films, if you have a film lover in your life, this is a worthwhile event for you, happening in downtown Toronto at the Carlton Cinema, February 22nd to 25th. Make sure to check us out. Link is in the description below for tickets and passes. Tickets will go on sale soon. Passes are already on sale. Let's get to this. Just a heads up, tickets are now on sale. I need to update that. And coming next week, you'll see a festival trailer for it. But yeah, for now. Rob, is that you with long hair? I've literally had long hair for 1 year of my life. No, that's not me. Who are you talking about? No, that is not me. Who? Those are women, dude. Oh, that? Oh, no, that's Brandon. That's Brandon. Shout outs to Brandon. He will be there. This is, so that right there on the left is our festival artistic director who is now in Serbia, Tiana. And on the right, that's Sarah. She's a violinist who actually, if you go to Dallas Maverick games, you can see her at the Dallas Mavericks games. She does all the halftime shows. So very, very cool. That is a director that we had. That's my ex-girlfriend. That's some volunteers. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, one of those. Yeah. So anyways, yeah. And that's our co-founder, Angelica. So shout outs to Angelica. And that's our features programmer. And that is yours truly running a camera, looking goofy and underslept. That's two friend of mine. That's the guy who won our best director in 2011. And that is Odynyk, who's a friend of mine who directed the film Jitters, which was at Pendance. Awesome film. Awesome. Really good film. He also directed a feature which was on Netflix. He was also in a commercial with Serena Williams this past year for a car commercial. W Angelica. I don't know what that means, but cool. Yeah. So anyways, yeah. And this was a poster that I designed for 2020, whatever. Rob, you're always underslept. Let's be honest. I have pretty much been chronically underslept forever. But yes, that is true. And this is our poster this year. I think our poster this year might be better than our poster in 2019. But nevertheless, I think our poster is pretty cool this year. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, hope you have success and fun. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, man, it's a lot of work. We're in the process of like creating DCPs now for all the screeners. So some people may not know this, but when you have a film that screens at a theater, you actually have to make it into a package that the theater can actually understand, like the theater's server. So you have to take your MOV file or whatever, and then you have to convert it into a DCP. These DCP files are freaking huge, and they're very computer intensive. Oh, okay. Thanks. Great posters. Thank you. Yeah. Design is my side hustle, hobby. I don't know, whatever. So yeah. Actually, I want to show you guys something very briefly. Something I was sort of proud of. Random side note. But yeah. Hang on, pull it up. I hope it's not copyrighted. I got a copyright strike the last time I did this. So not a copyright strike, sorry. I got a copyright infringement notice. There's an event trailer, and I was like really proud of this. And I don't know like how people felt about it, but like it was a really big part of our Attitude Era, to borrow a note from the WWE. So like basically in our first year, we were very like melodic, to say the least. Like we were very I don't know how to explain it. Like we were very conservative, artistic, but this is one of my like prouder trailers. Okay, bear with me, some of my trailer work. So this is a trailer for Penn Dance 2022. Can you hear it? Here we go. I created this. That was me. I do, actually. So I am a cinematographer. I don't know if I'm able to share some of my work with you guys, but I could. It might get copyright blocked, and I don't really feel like losing $40 to share this. And I'm pretty sure we used a song that we did not license. That song was licensed for sure. But I don't think we're licensed to use the other song. And then we went virtual, which, you know, was kind of sucky, but nevertheless, this is probably the trailer that I'm most proud of in terms of just like the work that I put into it. It was pretty cool. For a virtual festival, I think we did a really good job. So this was our trailer last year.
Il faut y aller en fait, après les vacances c'est fini.
Bro, you gotta realize something here, okay?
It's a great date night idea. Thank ya. Well, I am an editor in my real life. Actually, favorite trailer. Our trailers are freaking good, man. Damn, our trailers are freaking good. My favorite trailer of all time, which is weird because typically you think that you're going to get better with age, but I have considerably, I think, gotten worse. Like, I think our trailer's been seen a lot of places. Like, we had Movie as a sponsor one year, and a lot of people saw that. But hang on, let me see. Where is that trailer? I can't. Damn it! I can't share that trailer because it has the copyrighted song. Damn it. That sucks. It's like an entire essay. This right here. If I could, I would. It's got like a beautiful soundtrack. Unfortunately, I can't present it. But then people told me, no one's gonna read so much, Rob. No one's gonna do a 3-minute trailer. So then I made a second trailer for that, where I used where the hell is it? What? Where? Penance Film Festival trailer number 1. Where's trailer number 2? Dude, where is trailer number 2? What did I do here? Pendants, Tarkovsky. Here we go. Boom. This one gives you the feels, I think.
Where you are right now in this very moment is exactly where you're supposed to be.
You have to keep an eye on me. Don't leave me alone. I'm really counting on this, So if you can take it, if you could.
I'm sorry you were misled.
I'm talking about even in the score. I'm talking about the universal deficit. This is the best female spirit you ever heard.
This is definitely my favorite.
Followed you all the way out here, quit my job for you.
I don't know. I can't do this alone.
I use Premiere.
Miss Burke, say Casablanca for us.
Isso pior than the second time, Hey!
No. Yeah. So like the quality of these friggin' films have been fucking awesome forever, right? Like we do this every year, right? In the winter, and it's just solid. Hang on. I'll find my EP reel, and let me see if I can find one where I'm not shit. That's definitely not hang on. I'm trying to find one where I didn't use a copyright. Do you create the soundtrack or solicit someone to? No, I create it. Well, I mean, like, I'm using someone else's licensed music, right? Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out like which one I have, because if I play like 2 seconds of this, I'm gonna be like. Also, shout outs if we have any Arabic listeners. I'm a big Nancy Ajram fan. Let's see here. Is this? Let me see. What's the sound? Ugh. Mute. Oh, sweet. Okay, good. Here, now you can actually see my work. Same song. So this is my work. I'll pull myself off. Yeah. So, love the violinists. Yeah, we did a music video with her. 3 actual music videos with her. So that was really cool. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. Yes, everything is raw, everything is deep, and frankly, I'm just a big fan of the classics, cinema classics. I'm a big fan of stories. Stories have changed my life in a lot of ways. Whether those stories be told by filmmakers, whether those stories be told by authors, whether those stories be told by like my favorite sports writers, whether those stories be told by comedians. Stories are everything. It's like if you think about like what is effectively the same about us as a civilization from start to finish, it is story, right? Whether we're talking like 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 years ago, we're talking hieroglyphics, we're talking stories. People were leaving stories behind for us to follow. It's how we communicate, it's how we think. And I just think that the stories that we need to see and hear need to be richer and more diverse. And I don't mean diverse by, oh, we got to have, a black content creator, a white content creator, a female content creator, a gay content. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the diversity of experience, because how diverse can you be if you all went to the same fucking high school? You know what I mean? Like when I was growing up, and be honest, like I didn't see my story being represented anywhere. Like story of a kid who growing up in government housing, tries to make it to a hedge fund. I didn't see that story. So I was like, all right, that's cool. You know, I didn't really see myself being represented. And it's just because, honestly, I'm sure that story is being told somewhere, but it's just not being programmed by Disney and HBO Max. So Penn Dance is an answer to the homogenization, and I don't know if that's a word, homogenization, like this homogenous story arc, you know, this homogenous story archetype. And I just think that great stories have like a few things in common. Like they're well paced, they're well thought out, they show, don't tell, they give you some depth, some nuance, they force you to ask questions about yourself. And when we're picking films for Penn Dance, that's ultimately what I want to do. I want to pick films where there are some thought-provoking ideas, things that can help people elevate themselves and grow. Because ultimately, what are we paying $5,000, $10,000 to go to a Tony Robbins event? We're paying, you know, $30 every single time we go onto Amazon and buy a self-help book. I think we all want to get better. I think we all want to get happier, deeper. I think we want to resolve past traumas. I think like there have been films that I've watched that have helped me resolve some of my relationship issues with my parents. Maybe there's a book that I read that helped me understand work ethic. You know, literature and stories in general, cinema is a great way. You know, I've talked about it before. Cinema can be an immersive storytelling tool that can lead to borderline hypnosis. I tell you that a great movie can immerse you in a way where like truly 2 hours pass by and it feels like 12 minutes pass by. And in that moment, you'll know that you're changed. And I think most of us can absolutely remember back to a film that we can quote back, you know. And I just think that it's pretty interesting when my favorite film almost every single year is a film that no one on my street, no one on my floor, no one in my building has even heard of. I think that makes me different. Different's good. Different is not bad. I think we grow up in a society now where we think different is bad. How, oh, everybody watched the Kardashians, I got to watch the Kardashians. No, I don't need to watch the Kardashians. I'm good. I can just be myself and I can watch some random Romanian film. And then, you know what? If I meet some Romanian person, we got something to talk about. I've always had stuff to talk about with people, like any person, you know, any person that I meet, I guarantee you we have some sort of overlap in life because I don't pigeonhole myself to being the guy who only listens to rap music. I'll listen to some country music. What makes someone a great writer? Honesty. I think honesty makes you a great writer, you know, because most great writers have a voice. I think Tamberlin could probably speak to this more too, because she's a writer. They have a voice. Ideally, it's something that they've kind of tapped into, that there's a bit of self-awareness about it, right? Tamberlin question, what's your top 5 movies, Rob? Top 5 movies. No Country for Old Men is definitely up there. I think I could watch that movie like 15 different times. This idea of you can't stop what's coming. You know what I mean? Like this perpetual, like unending sort of faceless fear that you just can't stop something that's coming is very interesting. And I think Cormac McCarthy in the novel, and then ultimately Joel and Ethan Coen in the adaptation and subsequently screenplay, and then subsequently the film, really captured it. It's a brilliant film. 4 months, 3 weeks, 2 days by Christian Mungui. I wonder if I could play the trailer for that. Can I share my favorite trailers without getting copyright blocked? I'll share my favorite trailers. You know what? Screw it. Get copyright blocked. Who cares? If someone really feels like it, send me a super chat after for like 10 minutes, for $10. Hold on. We are going into a movie deep dive. Hang on. Okay. So this is a Separation official trailer. Not this. Here. This is one of my favorite films of all time.
Nah, نه خیلی ایشون نه معتاده نه مشکلی داره، خیلی هم آدم خوب و سالمی.
پس برای چی میخواد الان بگیره؟
برای اینکه ایشون نمیخواد با من بیاد.
منم که شدی اینجا پیشنهاد بده. آقای قاضی چیکار کنم؟
ایشون بهونه کرد.
من بهونه نکردم. شما گفتی یه دلیل بیار من
اجازه بده من صحبت
بفرمایید.
من الان تکلیفم چی میشه حاج آقا؟
هیچی. بفهم از زندگیتون.
چیه؟ بابا خواب بود با در روش قفل کنی بری؟ داشت میمرد من رسیدم. خانم بیا برو
تو من این زنه امروز دعوا کردی؟ گفت زدیش تو.
من زدمش.
پس چه بردنش بیمارستان؟
یه خانومی آوردن امشب اینجا به اسم راضیه.
بچهش سفت شده. چی کارش کردی مگه؟
شفاف توضیح بده آقا. اتهامش الان قطع.
آقای عزیز شست من.
تو گفتی؟
مگه تو نگفتی جدی نیست؟
جدی شد.
So good. Lord, if I make a film half as good as that in my entire life, I will die a very, very happy person. It's one of the greatest films of all time. I will show you a trailer. Now, this is very exciting because this is actually my work, but it's also one of the greatest films of all time. I did the trailer for it. Hang on one sec. And I totally gave myself a shout out in it too. My bad. Okay. Okay.
There are things of which I may not speak.
Don't worry, it's English.
That cannot die. There are thoughts that make the strong heart weak and bring a pallor into the cheek.
You get more than two of these in the bedroom, and the chances are something like that's gonna happen.
Should we do something?
I've had lots of girlfriends, and I don't understand why this one is any different.
Oh God, you don't think he wants to?
Oh, he's not gonna marry her.
Well, then what's he doing with her?
She probably loves him. Girls always have.
You know, I've been ignoring our difference in age, but you keep playing with those blocks. She's not divorced yet, you know.
It's the same thing.
Maybe he still loves her. This is stopping now.
Oh, really?
Well, what's to stop him from doing it again?
Did you hit him at all? Come on, tell me you hit him.
Matt.
Just so he doesn't do it again. You take my house? Can you take my kids?
I'm here now. I'm here now. It's all right. I'm not going anywhere. Go upstairs.
You encouraged him. You can't admit the truth to me or to yourself.
I know what you think, that I was too lenient, that I let him get away with
Te-am de bani?
300 zici, nu? Tot ce e de făcut? Zi.
Sorry. I was saying this is a trailer for one more of my favorite films. My bad. I muted myself in order to cut out the sound. This is a Romanian film called 4 Months, 3 Weeks, and 2 Days. It's incredible. It's yeah, it's really good.
De bani?
300 zici, nu? Tot ce e de făcut? Zi.
Scuzați, domnul Bebe?
Știți că odată ce am dat drumul, nu mai e cale de întors. Știți că e de pușcărie ce facem noi aici? Unișoara asta nu-i de joacă.
Vă rog eu frumos să mă ajutați.
Păi ce pula mea, mă? Tu crezi că mă prostești pe mine ca pe ultimul fraier? Alo, unde mergeți dumneavoastră?
Și să rezolv altfel. Stai tu liniștită că o să fie totul bine. Nu te stai aici numărul. Dacă e ceva, mă suni. Păi, mi-e rău. Nu pot să cred ce se întâmplă. Și acum ce să fac?
Bun, acum hai de gând să-mi spui ce se întâmplă. Și te rog eu frumos să-mi spui orice ar fi.
Nu mai vorbim niciodată despre asta, da?
There's also a film called The Sun. It's great. I also liked Hell or High Water. So you're saying like I don't really like Hollywood films. I like Hell or High Water. In 2001: A Space Odyssey. Love The Shining. Yeah, there are some. I'm trying to think like if I can give a shout out to any more obscure films that maybe don't get as much shine. I don't know. In terms of just like foreign cinema, I like it's almost like you're discovering the world in a way, right? Like you're like learning how somebody sees the world. And honestly, like I've always felt like there's such a dividing line between cultures and geographies, and we have like such a weirdly small perspective on the world. There's, here's a Keanu Reeves quote that was really, really instrumental for me today. It's weird. Like you can hear the right thing at the wrong time. You can hear the wrong thing the right time, and it just doesn't hit. But sometimes you hear the right thing or watch the right film at the exact right time that you needed to hear it. And it usually helps if that thing is honest. And it usually helps if somebody who's speaking honestly is speaking their truth. Keanu Reeves said this. He had this quote, which just crawled across my timeline. Thousands and thousands of things crawl across your timeline every single day. I just happened to stumble upon this. And he said, there are 7 billion people on this earth, or he said 8 billion people on this earth. He's like, so when someone treats you very poorly, or if someone is very disrespectful to you, that is a very good reason that that person is doing you a favor, and they are showing you that they are one of those people that is not worth talking to. And man, no matter how many times people have told me to not talk to people that grind my gears and make me upset, I usually end up talking to those people because I grew up dysfunctional. And, when you grow up dysfunctional, you yell at the people who, piss you off. You don't walk away from them. What kind of a, wimp are you, right? You fight. You fight. Where I'm from, you fight. And the truth is that I've found that far, far, far more often that the better resolution is actually just to walk away, that you're not going to get anything out of it. And that was great. It was a great thing to just sort of realize, and it's funny because two times, some of you know, if you follow Panzara B-Ball on X, sometimes you'll see me walk into a Twitter space, right? And I find those Twitter spaces to be for the most part, pretty useless and kind of dysfunctional, and a lot of people screaming at each other. And once in a while, I've even gotten into that. I've started screaming at somebody, or someone started screaming at me. A couple of days ago, someone said Gradey Dick is your favorite player because you're gay, something like that. Or I think like 3 different people over the last 2 weeks have threatened to physically punch me in the face if they ever saw me. They sound serious. They're not serious, but they sound serious, and it's just like, this is a very dysfunctional place to be. And I never feel better after I'm there. In the last couple of days, I've gone into those spaces and I've gone out in like 2 minutes. So I was like, bam, Keanu Reeves helping me out. Love it. All right. So enough of a ramble. This has been like 40 straight minutes. Kudos to the 227 of you who just stood around listening to me talk about my favorite films and, my random theories about art and stuff. I think cultural capital is the biggest thing in the world, I really do. One of my sociology profs in second year talked about how there are 2 types of people in this world: people who vacation and people who travel. And she said, never be the person who vacations. And I never really understood it until I got a little bit older and I started thinking about all the people that I know that go on vacations. And then I knew the people that traveled, and it was different. Vacations are escapism. So basically it's like an amusement park, right? It's an amusement park. You vacation, there are a lot of people. I remember some girl that I was dating back in, I was like 22, 23. And she would always go to Cuba. She had this entire like fascination with Cuba, right? And actually, this is a great time to shout out a Cuban film. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can pull it up even. So basically, oh, perfect. Got it. Yes. Okay. So she talked about Cuba, and she talked about these resorts, and she talked about the drinks. She talked about how everyone's so super nice and everyone's super happy there. And she likes going there because everyone's happy. And the truth is that Cuba is a very poor country. It is a poor country that is a horrific political record. The people are very oppressed. And the reality of Cuba is so different than the Westerner perspective on Cuba. Like, you don't go to the places that you need to go to understand what Cuba is, but you walk back to your cushy fucking job in Toronto or Vancouver or New York or Chicago, and you basically, exploited, a cheap country for its goods and services. And you might feel like, hey, I had a nice vacation out of it. I got a nice relaxation. But really, if you think about what's wrong with the world, this is what's wrong with the world. This is that we're not very interested in what is the reality of the world. And so we, at Pendance, we had a Cuban feature, short last year. We have another one this year. Super cool. Check it out. This is it's called Tundra. It's by one of my favorite young directors. Look at this.
¿Se acuerda aquello que le hablé ayer?
Sí.
Me está llenando la casa.
Yo te conozco de alguna parte. A lo mejor ella te conoce.
Vas caminando por la calle y de pronto te encuentras con una mujer.
Larguet,
Y sientes algo.
mira lo que me hice.
La marca de que algo bueno pasó. Y ese algo bonito se te queda en la vista del cerebro. Como cuando miras la luz de un carro por la noche, ¿sabes? Y te queda el fantasma.
So it's interesting because a lot of what this film is about Cubans and dreaming, and it talks about the realities of the bleakness of Cuba, and it's from the Cuban perspective, from a Cuban filmmaker. So I just thought that it was so cool, and there are so many films like this from around the world. How much of an influence has Iranian art or Japanese art had on Japanese cultural reforms? Such an important thing. what I say is that the world is huge. It's bigger than the Toronto Raptors. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than one country. It's bigger than Canada. It's bigger than the United States. It's big. The world is big, and everyone has their own problems. And to have empathy for, not sympathy, empathy means being able to walk in someone's shoes. It's being able to understand someone, not sympathy, not, oh, children are starving in Africa, children are starving in India, I'm so lucky. No, real empathy for like what people grow up with. You know, empathy cures hate in so many ways. You understand what people are reading, what people are doing with their lives, what books, what movies, what events have shaped them. You won't label them the same way. You won't be like, oh, that's a bigot, that's an idiot, that's an idiot. Like, you know what I mean? Like what I'm saying is expanding horizons is great. Can do it through sports. Can do it through film. You can do it through art. You can do it through travel. You can do it through a multitude of ways. Damn, that's cool. Yeah, I like those two films too. I like Scarface. Actually, hang on. Let me check something out. That's my Scarface mirror. My friend used it as a Coke mirror once. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. All right. Talk to you guys later. Enough rambling about pen dance and about film and about life. But yeah, to anyone who caught this, I hope it didn't get demonetized. Peace. Oh, and pen dance links in the description below. See ya.